What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Pigskins and Pinfalls. I'm Dick Burns here with Bobby Boomerang. We're here to talk everything from Adam Copeland being all elite to San Fran being the new team to beat.
That's right, Dick. We're here to talk everything from Adam Copeland to Jade to Week 4 games played. As always, every little bit of support helps keep the show running, so make sure to hit that subscribe button, leave a like on the video, leave your comments down below, and leave your expectations out the door.
What was that look for?
Because I'm not ready to acknowledge that San Fran's the best team in the league, even though I know that they are.
Even though we both have them as number one.
That's besides the point.
Let's acknowledge this first. So we were talking about it before the show earlier today, before we started recording earlier today. We were like, why are we doing full game recaps? If people are fans of our show and are watching it, most likely they watched all the games this weekend. We don't need to undermine everyone's intelligence. Like,
not only that, but it kind of, if we've got Cardinals fan watching, why would they want to sit through 15 other games covered when they, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
we thought about it, we talked about it, we were going to try something different. We're all about evolving. If you watched us in our early episodes, we used to do full breakdowns of Raw and SmackDown. Like, we're trying to grow, we're trying to build this, and we want to give you guys more palatable episodes. But if there's something that we miss or something that you guys want us to bring back or something, let us know, man. Like, we've modified ourselves based off of feedback before, and we're always willing to continue to do that.
Exactly. And I feel like, again, it just makes for a tighter, cleaner episode that, again, like, we're not we're not undermining anyone's intelligence. We know that if your guys are watching this, then you're already fans of the product, and there's no need to repeat stuff that you already know. So,
correct. We're going to tell you who won. We're going to go over any, we have a new segment we're calling NFL Quick Hits. We're just going to
That's where we'll cover all our news. That's where we'll cover like the big topics from the week. And so I want to start out with your very first one that you put up here.
Yeah.
The Bears suck, and Chase Claypool is a bum.
Yeah. That's I put that. Yeah, that was me.
Yeah, you put that. You definitely put that.
You know why?
Because they suck and Chase Claypool is a bum.
Because the Bears suck and Chase Claypool is a bum, yo. The Bears look. I mean,
you know how bad it has to be when the team has to tell you stay home.
Don't even come.
Just don't even show up to the. Don't even show up to the stadium. Wasn't that game in Chicago too?
I think I'm not positive.
I'm pretty sure that game was in Chicago. Broncos at Bears. Yeah, it was at Chicago.
Don't even drive the 15-20 minutes to the stadium, including traffic. The Bears looked horrible.
They threw that game away.
Whoa.
So in one of two games that were all about someone has to get a win, you had a 28-7 lead and you threw it away in the last couple minutes because you decided to go for it on fourth down while in the red zone when you could have kicked the field goal and you could have possibly made it a tie game that could have gone to overtime. No.
But no, let's gamble and go for the win, man. Like,
in reality, though, I feel like that is a statement to, like, again, like the coaching side of things. Like, we know Sean Payton is a good coach. There's no denying that. And again, it's used to be. There's still hints of it there. There's still hints of it, and this is what showed it. But like, Eberflus making that decision to go for it on fourth at the end of the game was the worst decision he could have made.
I agree, but I'm going to take this even a step further. I also think that this shows that it's a front office issue because let's think about this, right? The last two wide receivers that the Chicago Bears have gone after, Chase Claypool and DJ Moore, neither one of them are proven number one wide receivers.
You take that back about DJ Moore.
I'm sorry. First of all, he's not in Carolina anymore, so
that's
fuck
true.
him.
I don't really have to give a shit.
But no, and look, Chase Claypool balled out his rookie year. Thought he was going to be great.
He was also in Pittsburgh at the time.
Similar sentiment with fucking Darren Waller, man. Darren Waller balled out in Vegas. Well, Oakland at the time, but with the Raiders, and he came over and he only had 2 targets tonight. I don't want to get too far off topic, but that's the NFL for you. Somebody's going to come out. Peyton Hillis got a Madden cover.
You're not wrong there. You're not wrong. Let's talk about something a little bit more palatable. CJ Stroud is still proving that he is the best quarterback from this year's draft class. Hands down, no questions asked. Houston is finally starting to look like the team that, like we said, it was going to take like a couple of weeks to get everything put together. Normal. Like, it's a new coach, new team, fresh rookie quarterback, first round picks on your defense. Like, we knew there was going to be some growing pains, but We're in week 4 now, and the Texans are starting to look really good.
I wouldn't say really good, but they're definitely looking a lot better than we thought they would be. I got a crazy stat for you. I didn't put it in here because I wanted to get your general reaction.
Okay.
CJ Stroud is one of 6 quarterbacks in NFL history to average 300 yards per game and throw 0 interceptions in the first 4 games.
Damn.
The other 5 names are Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers, Peyton Manning, and Drew Brees.
That's some rarefied air right there.
And none of them did it as a rookie. None of them did it as a rookie.
He's doing this as a rookie. And again, like, a lot of people have felt that his draft value got hurt when all that stuff came out about him doing poorly on the S2, right? The weeks before the draft. And that really hurt his draft value. But if that had never happened, maybe he still would have gone number 1. Maybe he would have gone before Bryce Young.
I am of the opinion that test taking does not really translate to NFL. I think that it's kind of silly. They do things like the Wonderlic and shit like that. You have somebody like Ryan Fitzpatrick who went to Harvard, and I think he got like a 90-something on the Wonderlic. And it didn't. I mean, he had a great career. Don't get me wrong, but he wasn't out there.
He had a great journeyman career, though. Like, he never he was never good enough to like be kept on retainer for a team for year after year after year. He was always bouncing around from contract to contract to contract.
Yeah, dude. And then you look at other quarterbacks that haven't, or not even quarterbacks, players in general that have low scores on the Wonderlic. Like, it doesn't mean shit. Can you play on the field? Flat out.
You play to win the game, not to do good on a test.
Correct. Sticking with the Texans, J.J. Watt was inducted into the Texans Ring of Honor, which was a nice touch because it was against the Steelers, so his brother T.J. was there. Nice little touch there. And I have a feeling in the next couple of years we're going to see J.J. inducted again, only this time it's going to be in Canton.
I have no doubt he's going to be in Canton when
first
his
ballot
time comes. First ballot. Of course, first ballot.
I agree.
Not even a question. Before we get into the next one, I want to bring up what the hell is going on with the Packers running backs. Like, here's my thing. Aaron Jones, of course, goes balls out on week 1, goes out with his hamstring injury, comes back this week. Everyone is saying, "Oh no! If Aaron Jones plays, he's a lock to start. He's a lock on your rosters." Tell me why both Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon combined for less than 40 yards.
And
honestly, I think less than 30 yards even.
I've been saying it, man. Like, I'm not sold on fucking Jordan Love, and the Lions went in there and they fucking handled business the way they should have because the Lions are a pretty good team.
It feels like they should have been doing more with those running backs. I get that the Lions have a great rush defense. I get that. But at the same time, it's like they didn't even give them a chance.
The only time you stop putting the ball in your playmakers' hands is if somebody else on your team is having a great day, a la Christian McCaffrey, who had 4 touchdowns, whereas Deebo Samuel didn't even get a catch. You know, like, that's the only time you do that. And I think part of the issue is that Green Bay, since they lost Aaron Rodgers, who prolific passer, one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, you know, their running back room hasn't needed to be great. Now you're coming in with Jordan Love, who technically not a rookie, but his first season playing, he needs that little added help. Look back to 2016 with the Cowboys and how having Dak and Zeke, having that good of a running game helped Dak. Like, you need that for these younger quarterbacks, in my opinion.
And it felt like once they gave up on the run, they started putting too much strain on Jordan Love. And Jordan Love, like you said, we don't believe he's ready yet. He needs a little bit more time in the oven, but at the same time, like, there's flashes of promise, but he was not ready at that time. You should have been relying more, at least trying more with your running game. Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon each had 5 carries. That's it.
That's horrible.
And then between the two of them, they got less than 30 yards. I don't care if the running defense if your rushing defense is shutting you down completely. There is absolutely no reason why, especially if you're not playing from behind like that,
right,
that you should be forcing your team to be only throwing.
Amen, brother. I'm right there with you. Sticking with Aaron Rodgers, he has come out and, or not sticking with Aaron Rodgers, but speaking of the Packers, Aaron Rodgers, there's my segue.
Yeah.
He has come out and said that he plans on playing this season. Thoughts?
I don't know about that one. I think he's trying to rush himself back too early. At the same time, it's also an indictment of how poorly they have faith, how little faith they have in Zach Wilson, and rightfully so, because Zach Wilson is not performing.
I would like to go ahead and skip to something we put in the leftovers if you're going to be talking about Zach Wilson.
Go right ahead.
So, this is a crazy stat of the week. Sunday night was the first time in Patrick Mahomes' professional and college career where the opposing quarterback had more completions, more yards, more touchdowns, and less interceptions. That's Zach Wilson played decent. Patrick Mahomes played bad more so than Zach Wilson played good.
Yeah, I don't want to give too much credit to Zach Wilson, because I think at the same time that was as much of a trap game for the Chiefs as the Cardinals were for Dallas last week.
Hey, you ain't gonna hear any arguments from me. The greatest thing about that, though, is that I saw something where it's like all the Swifties are now gonna think that Zach Wilson's better than Patrick Mahomes because this was their first NFL game. That was funny.
No,
But
I think what's really going to happen is you're going to have all the girls going after Travis Kelce because Taylor Swift is, and then all of those girls' moms are going to be going for Zach Wilson.
he's got to, you know what? He has to fight Jake from State Farm. Did you see that?
No, I missed that.
So Donna Kelce was at the Eagles game watching Jason play, and they showed her in the crowd, and she was sitting next to Jake from State Farm.
That's
and
funny.
then she made it to the Sunday night game to watch Travis play. So they got to watch out for that.
Mama Kelce getting hers.
We have veered off of course. Aaron Rodgers wants to come back. He was potentially targeting a playoff spot. I don't think the Jets make it to the playoffs. And if you're not playing for a playoff berth / Super Bowl berth, I would not come back, and I would just wait until next year.
Unless it's a matter of them trying to get, like, those last 2 weeks or so just to see how Aaron Rodgers fits into the offense. But even still, like, you're right. If you're not playing for a playoff position, then there's no point. I can agree with that.
Speaking of Taylor Swift, I'm over it.
I'm over it too. I'm done.
Over it.
It's been 2 weeks now, and it's like it feels like she's just taking over the entire airwaves. I'm over it.
One, cool. Eyeballs to the program, right? Like, we always talk about wrestling, getting eyeballs to the program is great. The NFL doesn't really need it, in my opinion.
Agreed. 100% agreed.
And it's cool to show her once. I kept track. They showed her 6 times. I didn't count how many times they mentioned her or threw her song titles in whenever Travis or the Chiefs did something, but they showed her 6 times on the broadcast.
It's unnecessary. Like, it's so...
It is 5 too many or 4 too many if Travis scores a touchdown.
Yeah, it's just, it's too much. It's too much, man. Too much.
I agree. Speaking of too much, Khalil Mack.
There's no such thing as too much there. There's no such thing as too much.
6 fucking sacks, bro. 1 shy of the record.
I mean, again, it's not too much, but it is damn sure a lot.
Good
for him. Good for him for still maintaining his status as a defensive juggernaut.
Still got it. Never lost it.
Still got it.
Never lost it.
All right. Do you want to rant first or me?
Well, that's our bit of our quick hits. You know, obviously, if you guys want to know the scores and stuff, you should probably do that on your own. But yes, now comes my favorite time, and I think we should do your rant first because you're going to be negative. I'm going to be positive.
It wasn't originally going to be positive for you, but
well, last week it wouldn't have been positive.
Last week, the rant that you went on that we unfortunately lost was very negative, which rightfully so. You guys got caught in a trap game against the Cardinals. But it's
not this week.
Not this week. No, not this week. Y'all had a get right game for sure. Y'all definitely had a get right game. Last week, the episode that we recorded and lost because power outages, loss of audio, all this whatnot.
And because you couldn't do what you're about to do. That's why
I personally said I did not want to rant about a certain player, especially after this week. I am so ready for this. Miles fucking Sanders is absolute fucking garbage, and I said it from the very beginning when we first signed him in the offseason. He is absolute trash. Last week, they made him look so much better last week. Let me pull up his stat line from last week real quick, just so I'm not completely blowing this out of proportion. Last week, 9 carries for 24 yards. He was touchdown dependent. He got a 1-yard touchdown from a complete, it was probably from the half-yard line. And everyone's like, oh, it's Miles Sanders, this. He got 5 catches for 38 yards as well. Okay, yeah, he was a little bit more involved with the passing game. Let's not forget the fact that he actually dropped half his passes. I mentioned it last week when we lost it, but Eddie Pinheiro snapped a 25-kick streak of consecutive field goals. And he snapped it because Miles Sanders lost yardage on 3rd down that forced him to have to kick it was like a 50-something yarder. He was going for his career high, and he missed the kick because he wasn't closer. And why did that happen? Because Miles Sanders lost them fucking yardage. Now, let's fast forward to this week. Let's go to this week's score. This is... I can't get over it. 13 carries for 19 yards. That's it. And he had 3 catches for 13 yards. Just
32 yards of offensive production.
This is supposed to be your RB1? This is the guy that you spent $6 million on? Fuck no. Absolutely fuck not. We are already, yes, don't get me wrong. The Panthers right now, we have our issues with Bryce Young. He's still learning. And a lot of it has to do with the fact that we have right now historically bad offensive line play. Like right now, if our offensive line continues to play the way it has been, it will set a record for the worst offensive line in NFL history.
Isn't he on pace to have the most sacks ever?
I think so. It's bad. He had 5 sacks this week for 55 yards.
11 yards per sack?
11 yards per sack with 5 sacks on the game. You know what saves you from having to deal with all of that? Having a good fucking run game. Having a solid fucking running back that you can rely on to get around the fact that you're getting blitz left and right. No, Miles Sanders is folding.
It's not all Bryce Young's fault. He has nobody else to rely on. His best threat is Adam Thielen. And after that is Hayden Hurst, and he's been gone for 2 weeks.
And again, where's Hayden Hurst? Week 1, we got him. We showed what we need, and even the commentary was saying they need to get Hayden Hurst involved more because of the fact that you've got a good rushing, when you've got a young quarterback, a good passing tight end is a young quarterback's best friend. 1 catch for 7 yards this week. Again, what are we doing here? Not using our, he was only targeted 3 times, and Ian Thomas was only targeted once, didn't make that catch. We're not using our tight ends the way we should be. And it's just, again, I get it. The offensive line is historically bad, on such a level, but again, this is where your running backs are supposed to pick up the slack. This is where you're supposed to be able to rely on your backfield to deal with that blitz. Because that's essentially what it is. We're getting blitz left and right. Have been all season. Because every defense knows, we can shut down the Panthers if we just keep blitzing them.
Yeah.
We need a run game. And it's not going to go through Miles Sanders. I'm really glad that this is a 1-year contract, and I damn sure hope they don't renew him.
There's no way. There's no way.
Absolutely not. Hell, go find us a running back in the draft next year. I'll say hell no. Let us find ourselves our own Bijan. Come on.
Leonard Fournette's chilling at home.
Shit, I'd take Fournette right now.
He's a big body. He can at least pick up the blitz.
Chuba Hubbard put in.
Bring back Chubba Hubba.
Again, he put in 41 yards this week. At least he did something. Miles Sanders averaged 1.5 yards per rush this week. He averaged, I think it was 2.4 last week. His overall numbers, let's see what his numbers are for this season right now. His season right now, he is averaging 2.9 yards. That's it. His longest rush so far this season, 15 yards. That's it.
How many touchdowns does he have in the year?
1. And that was the 1-yarder he got last week.
Not even
That's
1
it.
yard, 6-incher.
Now, again, and it sucks because like I went on this rant in our fantasy football group chat, and
You fucking laid into Rob.
I laid into like our boy Rob is a diehard Eagles fan, and he was swearing up and down by Miles Sanders, talking about, oh well, he had 1,000-yard season this season last season, like he really is as good as he says. It's like, no, anybody could have gotten.
He was a fucking product of the Eagles.
He was a product of that Eagles offensive line. Okay, anybody, you could have thrown fucking Melvin Gordon back there, and he would have put in 1,500 yards. Okay, Miles Sanders is trash.
Oh shit! And I'm gonna keep poking the bear because how does it make you feel knowing that your former running back Christian McCaffrey had 4 touchdowns this week?
I'm so angry right now. Like I'm so happy for him. I'm so happy for him because right now they're on pace to get that ring, and he deserves it. But god damn, I miss him. Let's not forget. It was only like a year or two ago when I said if Christian McCaffrey starts every game this season, I will buy a Christian McCaffrey jersey.
He got traded 3 weeks later.
And he still started every game. I can't right now. I can't do this. I can't do this. Talk about your Cowboys. I can't. I'm done. I can't do this anymore.
I gotta compose myself. All right. Well, Dick's wallowing in his sorrows. I am not, because my one rant about the Cowboys lost last week is lost to the sands of time, and you guys are never going to be able to hear it. So I was bummed.
It wasn't even that bad. It really wasn't even that bad.
No, man. I mean, we were down 8 starters. It was a trap game. We overlooked Arizona. They did a lot of good things right, keeping the ball away from Micah Parsons, blah, 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 blah. Doesn't fucking matter. Do you know why? Because I'm about to tell you why. Bill Belichick, Mac Jones, and Ezekiel Elliott come down to Jerry's World, AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas. Bill Belichick looking for his 300th career win. You know what he left with? A big fat L, because the Cowboys whooped up on him. Just like we whooped up on the Giants. Just like we whooped up on the Jets. If you're a football team from the northeastern part of the United States, you don't want to play the Dallas Cowboys, because we are just smacking the fuck out of all of them. 38-3. The Patriots jumped out to an early 3-0 lead. That is the closest they would get to the end zone for the remainder of the game, not even doing anything else on offense, as Dallas put up 38 unanswered points. It was a tough loss losing Trayvon Diggs, but we still have Stephon Gilmore as a lockdown corner, and we have another man, Deron Bland. Leads the league in interceptions since coming into the league last year. Had a pick 6 taken back to the house. It was just another defensive fucking drubbing. Cowboys were fucking on point. It was truly beautiful. Deron Bland had 2 interceptions, 2 touchdowns on the defensive side of the ball. Jake Ferguson, getting our tight ends involved, led the team with catches, which is, just spreading the ball around.
Good for Ferguson. Good for Ferguson.
Yeah, absolutely. Nothing crazy in the run game. I mean, Tony Pollard had 11 carries for 47 yards. It's over 4 yards a carry, which you really can't, ask for much more than that. Dak Prescott with yet another very efficient game, 28 for 34 with 261 and a touchdown. I mean, it was awesome.
Good numbers. Good numbers.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mentioned we kept Bill Belichick from hitting, win number 300, which is great because we never beat New England as long as Tom Brady was there. So it was nice to finally get that dub. It was nice to kind of beat Zeke. I mean, it was so weird seeing him on the opposing sideline. It was so weird seeing him in that dark blue and red jersey. And then another thing is the Cowboys made NFL history.
Yeah?
Yeah. After we scored our second touchdown, which was a Leighton Vander Esch scoop and score, we line up to kick the extra point. And we ran a field goal fake. Brian Anger, the holder / punter, he goes and sets the ball down, picks it up real quick, turns, chucks it to Chauncey Golston, who scores. We've seen 2-point conversions and all of that. What we have not seen since the NFL moved extra points back, which was in 2015, so 8 years.
Has it really been that long?
8 years.
Wow.
Nobody has run a fake field goal to get a 2-point conversion in 8 years.
Wow,
Yeah,
I
we
didn't
are.
realize it had been that long. But
Me either.
that's a hell of a stat.
So yeah, Dallas set history with that. Uh, and another thing that I really liked was, you were talking about Eddie Pinheiro. This guy Brandon Aubrey, man, he's fucking rock solid, dude. At the end of the half, we had the ball and drive kind of stalled out, and they sent him out there, and it was going to be a 66-yard field goal. Like you don't send somebody out there to draw somebody off sides on a field goal unit. You know what I'm saying? Like if you're sending somebody out there at a 66-yarder, you have faith that they can hit it.
100%.
And unfortunately, one of our offensive linemen moved, false start, backed us up 5 yards. If a kicker can kick a field goal from 70 yards, then why have an offense? But so he ultimately didn't try the kick at 66 yards, but they went for it. Like they were going to do it. So like the faith they have in him, and it's really, really awesome to see. And the scary thing is, and I'm not going to go on it too much into detail about it here because I'm going to save that for our next segment. We still haven't put together a perfect game.
No, y'all still y'all are 3-1, but it looks messy.
Overall, it doesn't look messy, but the issue is once we get inside the 20, our red zone offense is basically non-existent, and part of that is losing Zeke. Zeke was our hammer. Zeke was it's 1st and 4 from the 4-yard line, goal to go. Feed Zeke. And we don't have that because we have Tony Pollard, more shifty, more agile, and we have Deuce Vaughn, more shifty, more agile, and we have Rico Dowdle, who a little bit bigger, but he's not a fucking bruiser.
Plus, he's also hurt now. So
yeah, all in all, man, like defense is fucking lights out. I think we're gonna have the number 1 defense this year.
It wouldn't surprise me. Y'all look really good, and we'll get into that when we start. So instead of doing game by game recaps, we're instead trading that out, and we decided we're gonna start doing power rankings instead.
Yep.
Now you typed yours into our notes. I did not because I wanted it to be. I was thinking that we make them like let it be a little bit of surprise and get each other's reactions live. It
will be moving forward. I just kind of didn't have the opportunity to put it anywhere else today. But yeah, in the future, I'm going to put it to pen to paper, and we'll kind of.
I'll say this right now: we have like 6 of ours matching. So
exactly matching, or just 6 on the list.
Matching. And
okay.
And we'll talk about it, but there's only one team that you have that I don't. So we'll get to that. So let me start off with my number 10. I went with the Buccaneers. Now, granted, the Buccaneers coming out 3-1. The strength of the victor, they are of all the teams that are 3-1 right now. I think they're the worst of them all. And I think
one of these things is not like the other.
Well, no, it's not even necessarily that. But I mean, look at the strength of their wins. Look at the teams that they beat: the Vikings, the Bears, and the Saints. Like those are your 3 wins. Those 3 names are not really jumping off the page as like teams that are really giving you a challenge. Their one loss was to the Eagles, and I mean that's expected. So, like I feel like yes, they're 3-1. And yes, they get the credit of being 3-1. And honestly, yeah, Baker's looking really good in that offense. The defense is still a little bit shut down. Not the best in the world, but not the worst. Like they're putting up good numbers. So I figured they sit at a solid number 10.
So, do you want to go back and forth for me to do my 10?
Let's go back and forth. That's what I was thinking. Back and forth.
Okay. So for you put number 10 as the Buccaneers, which is kind of funny because I'm going to read mine exactly how I put it in our notes.
Yeah.
I put number 10, Buccaneers or Seahawks, depending on how tonight goes. So my official answer for number 10 is the Seahawks. Granted, they just beat up on a fucking Giants team that sucks.
Before you go any further, the Seahawks are my number 9.
Okay. You said on this show it was a regression, and I don't know, man. They're putting it together.
I said it was a regression after week 1, after they took that first L, but they've come back since then.
Yeah.
So
and K9 is fucking balling out for him. Metcalf and Lockett are doing their fucking wide receiver duo thing, and Geno Smith is. I know you said you weren't able to catch most of the game. At one point, they ran a trick play, and Geno Smith ended up catching a pass, and he got hit, not necessarily late, but like close to the sideline when they probably should have just let him walk out of bounds, you know?
Yeah.
And Geno Smith turned around and got in a fucking linebacker's face and was like, the pointing and he was getting fired up, and he actually ended up going to the medical tent for a couple plays. We got to see a Drew Lock sighting tonight. But Geno Smith, man, he's a fucking leader. And I'm gonna tell you, as somebody who played football, seeing your quarterback get in the face of a fucking linebacker,
That's motivating as shit.
I'm gonna fire off for that guy.
Also, since we didn't get a chance to talk about it, I hate to do this, but I gotta give props to Charbonnet for that truck he hit on Sam Franklin last week. Made him look silly. So, I mean, even you've got K9 out there running all over defenses, but you got Charbonnet as a bruiser in the backfield as well. And, like, I know a lot of people were questionable about Charbonnet, and honestly, like, the numbers still aren't there, and he still has a lot to prove. But what we've seen out of him so far the first 4 weeks, he's been pretty good. Like, he's doing his role right.
Yeah, and he's a rookie, correct?
Yeah, he's a rookie. I believe he was like a second or third round draft pick.
And K9's only in his second year?
Yeah.
That is a future RB tandem to watch out for. 100%.
Absolutely.
So you said the Seahawks were your number 9. So my number 9, I put down the Ravens.
Which, before you go any further, the Ravens are my number 8.
What is happening? So who moving up here? Do you
we're getting to it. Just go.
All right. So I have the Ravens at 9. Despite the running back injury, which seems to happen to Baltimore every year, Lamar, and I've said it before, Lamar still does Lamar things. Mm-hmm. He's amazing with his legs. I think he has my favorite throwing motion in the league. The way he just flicks his wrist, but the ball goes 60 yards is fucking beautiful. That defense is playing hella fucking team defense. Next time you watch a Baltimore Ravens clip on defense, after the tackle is made, I want you to count how many purple jerseys are within 3 yards of the ball. It's going to be half the team because they are swarming to the ball. It is insane to watch.
Exactly. We knew that the Ravens were going to be good this year. It was just a matter of how good they were going to be. And granted, they are dealing with a lot of injuries in that backfield like they always do every year. And that was another thing that we complained about last week was, we said that we were done with all the injuries to the Ravens backfield. We can finally start trusting Ravens running backs in the fantasy. Nope. Everyone's still getting hurt. The only running back that they really have that's going to be worth it every week is Lamar Jackson.
So you said you had the Ravens at your number 8.
Yeah, the Ravens are my 8.
So my number 8 is the Rams.
Okay. Now, I didn't rank the Rams, but they would have been my number 11. So
okay,
I'll let you talk.
Okay. I have the Rams here because of what their offense is doing. It's a running joke. Obviously, your boy Bobby here was completely wrong on Cam Akers. I've eaten that humble pie time and time again, but Kyron Williams is commanding that running back room. He is fucking balling out. I believe he had 2 touchdowns this week. Mm-hmm. Puka Nacua is literally breaking records. Has the most catches through any rookie's first 4 games in NFL history. He is absolutely insane. Stafford somehow is fighting Father Time and playing lights out as well.
I forget sometimes how old Stafford is.
And also, let's not forget, Cooper Kupp is eligible to return next week, which means you might be facing a Rams offense with Kyron Williams, Matt Stafford, Puka Nacua, and Cooper Kupp.
And they play at home against the Eagles next week. So
that's going to be a good test for them.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be a real good test
for both sides of the ball. All right, so that was your number 8. We have number 7 the same, and that is the Detroit Lions. This team continues to defy the odds. I still think Dan Campbell will end up being the coach of the year. Jared Goff, I mean, everyone wrote him off as being like the lesser of the two in the trade between Stafford and Goff, but he's been looking really good this year. His numbers haven't been flying off the page, but as a commanding the team, he's been doing a really good job.
Yeah, and last week I said, Jahmyr Gibbs was commanding his number 1 spot. Wrong. David Montgomery fucking, what do you have, 3 touchdowns?
3 touchdowns, 121 yards. But at the same time, this is like you said earlier, the only time you don't want a star player to be getting the ball is if somebody else is getting the ball in turn. It feels like right now at this point, you could give the ball to either Jahmyr Gibbs or David Montgomery, and either one of them will push.
If next week Jahmyr Gibbs had 120 yards and 3 touchdowns, I wouldn't blink.
Yeah, you know that someone in that backfield is going to put up numbers. Amon-Ra St. Brown is still a really good receiver that you can rely on.
Don't forget, Jameson Williams coming back from suspension, I believe either this week or next
Yeah,
week.
he has been reinstated, and he can be coming back as soon as next week. That's gonna make him even more of a threat.
Yep. Yep. My only concern for the Lions is Jared Goff went I think it was 13 games without throwing a pick, and now he's thrown one in his last 3 games. Little concerning, but
It's
only
a
one
pick.
interception.
It's
Exactly. That's what I was getting. One interception. I mean, obviously, you don't want to turn the ball over ever. But one interception is not going to absolutely take you out of the game, especially when you have the offensive firepower. Oh, another player we're forgetting to talk about on the line, Sam Laporta, rookie tight end. He has the most catches by a rookie tight end through the first 4 games in NFL history, and he has the second most yards by a tight end through their first 4 games in NFL history. You know the only tight end that he's trailing?
Travis Kelce.
Hall of Famer Mike Ditka.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a hell of an honor then.
Yeah. I'm so confused because now that means that you have somebody this high up on the list that I don't have on my list at all.
Oh, no. I'll tell you right now, our top 6 is near the same, and that's only because we have 2 that are swapped.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think I know which. It's either 2 and 3 or 4 and 5.
Nope.
Oh, all right. So then that brings us to number 6.
Kansas City Chiefs.
Kansas City Chiefs.
There is still a little bit of regression. I think there is still a little
Yes.
bit of regression over the past, and that's going to be expected. But
It's because they don't have a wide receiver. They do not have a true. Their wide receiver 1 is their tight end 1.
Yeah.
Travis Kelce is their number
but
1
they've
wide
always
receiver.
been like that, though. So I mean,
That's not when Tyreek was there. Nah.
Oh, when Tyreek. Okay, since Tyreek left, it has been Travis Kelce all day. The reliance on Travis Kelce reminds me, and I keep making this reference just because, of course, this is my past and how I love it. It's as much of a reliance as Phillip Rivers had on Antonio Gates.
I mean, that's
you
fair.
know I love that combo.
I know you do, and I think Mahomes and Kelce ultimately end up passing them.
Oh, agreed. I think so too. But again, like, this is the only downside, right? The only bad thing I have to say about the Chiefs right now is all the fucking Taylor Swift coverage.
So the only bad thing I have to say about the Chiefs football related, Patrick Mahomes showing some he looks human. He's not looking superhuman this year. Again, like I told you guys earlier, man, Zach Wilson outplayed Patrick Mahomes on Sunday night, and it was very possible that the Chiefs lose that game.
Mm-hmm.
The Jets had every opportunity to win that fucking game. So, but like you said, I think it's just a little bit of a regression. Even the Patriots during their fucking dynasty had some down years. So,
I mean, it still says something that they're still very strong contenders this year, but there's a little bit of question marks there.
correct.
Number 5, even though they are undefeated, we both have Philly.
Nice. Hell yeah. I fucking love that. I'm so glad you're on my side because I was going to rip you the fuck apart.
No, 100%. I completely agree because I think there are a couple 3-1 teams out there that are better looking than Philly right now. Now,
Not only that, and I'm sorry to cut you off, but here's something that I want to point out. Had the Dallas Cowboys gone into overtime against the Commanders, all the talking heads would be talking about how we're frauds, panic mode, this and that. But because it's the Eagles, oh, what a resilient team win, way to come from behind. Fuck that. The Commanders suck.
yeah. Now, not only that, but let's consider this. That was an overtime win, right?
Shouldn't have gone to overtime.
No, it really
the
shouldn't have.
Commanders go to
Plus-
overtime on literally a last-second touchdown.
Let's look at their other 3 victories as well. The Buccaneers, which, okay, again, like we already talked about that when we talked about the Bucs. It's like, okay, whatever. The Vikings, you had a close game. The Patriots, you had a close game. And those 2 teams are not really scaring anybody right now. The Vikings, come on. The fact that you let the Vikings come within 6 when they were a team that honestly are lucky they got their first win this week. And that's only because of the fact that somebody had to win that game.
And I just caught that bug.
Good job.
And thank you. You are up on the Patriots. What was it? 17-0, 16-0, and you let them come back, and you ultimately only win by 5. Nah.
Now is where we have our difference. We
Wow.
have 3 and 4 swapped.
Okay.
So this is shocking to me. You put Dallas at 4. I have Dallas at 3.
Wow. So
I I have Miami at 4, you have Miami at 3. Now, I want to make the argument on why I put Dallas over Miami, and then you can give the argument over why Miami is better than Dallas. My argument here is the strength of the victories of the teams that they have gone against. Miami, yes, is 3-1, but they just got blew out by the Bills, who are a much better team than the Broncos, who they blew out. Nobody is surprised if Miami blows out the Broncos because the Broncos were trash last week. And they're still, honestly, again, that's another team that somebody had to win this week, and that's the only reason they're not winless right now. Yeah. The Chargers, their other 2 victories, they barely beat the Chargers, and they beat the Patriots by a touchdown. The Bills, honestly, putting them to shame this week is what made them fall so much. Because if that was a closer game, then yeah, maybe Miami would still be at number 3. But I think that because of the strength of the win that Buffalo had was enough to be like, okay, Miami can beat the shit out of a shitty team, but when they're up against a tough team, they're struggling.
That Miami Dolphins Philly Eagles game is going to be a good one.
100%.
I agree with you. So now my reasoning for having Dallas at 4, I kind of touched on it when I went on my rant. We haven't played a perfect game yet.
Okay.
If we're going 1 of 5, 1 of 4 when we're in the red zone for touchdowns, that's not going to keep up with a high-powered offense like Miami. Obviously, they're not going to score 70 points probably ever. I mean, we might see 70 points one more time in our lifetime.
Mm-hmm. The other reason I say Dallas over Miami as well is the point differential. Miami right now is plus 31. Dallas is plus 83.
Yeah,
Dallas is allowing the least amount of points in the entire, has the least amount of points against them so far this season. So, again, like you mentioned, might be the number 1 defense. Yeah. And that was a lot of, when I was sitting here trying to figure out, okay, who's going to be 3 and who's going to be 4, that's what inevitably gave me the edge. I was thinking about it, and I was just like, yeah, I'm sorry, but that's just there. I have to agree again, your 3 wins are against shit teams, let's be real. The Giants, the Jets, the Patriots. And that 1 loss, again, like we mentioned, that Cardinals game last week was a trap game. Everyone is calling it a trap game. That's why I really don't hold it in the same weight as how badly Buffalo beat Miami this week.
Right.
Not to mention, you guys still kept it especially when you compare those two, y'all kept that game against the Cardinals at least a little bit closer.
Yeah, and we played horrible, and that was, again, with 8 starters out. My biggest concern is Miami's offense. It's so fucking high powered; they can score from anywhere on the field at any moment. Our offense is a bit more meticulous. I feel like we only have 3 big play people in CeeDee Lamb, Tony Pollard, and Kevontae Turpin. But that defense is lights out. And honestly, part of me wants to be humble because as a Cowboys fan, I hate Cowboys fans.
Let me pull some stats real quick, though. Miami right now, like I mentioned, Dallas is only allowing 41 points so far this season. Miami has allowed 119. Only 4 teams have more points scored against them so far this season. Obviously, the Broncos, the Bears, the Giants, and the Commanders. So, I know that makes you happy. So, when you look at those numbers, yeah, you have a high-powered offense. You have the highest scoring offense in the league by far. But when you're allowing that many points, it's like they say, offense wins games, defense wins championships.
Right. But my argument to you, my devil's advocate to you would be, how many teams can compete with Miami if it turns into a track meet?
Not many.
Right.
Not many. And if I have to give it to anybody, it'll probably be our top 2.
I think if it really came down to a track meet, Dallas could keep up to a certain degree. Mm-hmm. But again, man, having Tyreek and Jalen Waddle and Mostert and this dude Achane, I wouldn't be shocked if Miami gets a 90-plus yard touchdown at some point this year.
I wouldn't be surprised either.
All right, so that's our 3 and 4.
That's our 3 and 4. Number 2, we both have Buffalo, which this week was the get right game. This was the get right game for them, and it was a get right game against Miami.
Yep.
Of all teams, that says something. They lost to the Jets in a close game where the Jets really had to rally to get that win.
Also, think about this. It was a divisional game, always tough. I don't care if Dallas is 16-0 and Washington is 0-16. That last game of the season could go either way. Also, keep in mind, in New York on prime time after it had been raining for over 24 hours and 2 NFL games were played on that field within a 24-hour time frame. Shitty field conditions.
So it's reasonable that they lost that game, but since then the Raiders, the Commanders both got blown out, and then them blowing out the Dolphins this week was a huge telling point in that. A lot of people were ready to write off Buffalo at the beginning of the season just because of that one loss to the Jets. And then they were like, well, they got the win against the Raiders. They got the win against the Commanders. People were like, all right, we're still not convinced. After this week, people are convinced. Buffalo is still here to play.
Yeah. And I mean, this week, I think they have a bit tougher challenge because they're playing Jacksonville. And I know Jacksonville's not like crazy good, but the game is in London and Jacksonville will have already been over there for over a week. So jet lag is not going to be a factor to Jacksonville had their game in London this week, stayed in London. The time zone different. That's a long flight across the Atlantic, man.
Yeah, it is.
I've done it. It's a long flight. And jet lag is fucking real. I mean, I don't know how much more of a decent matchup you're going to get than the Bills and Dolphins, though, because that shit was a great game.
Plus, I mean, let's be real. Like, Jacksonville has become London's team. So it's going to be a little bit tougher for them. That crowd is going to be very firmly behind Jacksonville. It's going to be a hot game.
I love London crowds in football and in wrestling because they are just fucking
I agree
fire.
so much. They have so much fun with it. And then undisputed, there's no question here, the number one team in the league, without any questions right now, is definitely the San Francisco 49ers. One of only 2 teams that are undefeated. The strength of their wins has been very good. The strength of the teams that they've beaten has been very good. I think that this is the most complete team in the league right now.
As it stands right now, 100%. Christian McCaffrey, we've talked about him a bunch in the show, 4 touchdowns, balled the fuck out. He played so well that you didn't need anything from Debo or from Kittle. I know that because I have both of them on fantasy.
And of course, when you have that big of a lead, you're going to rely on just rushing the ball to go ahead and kill the clock. But when you're rushing the ball and still putting up those kind of numbers, come on.
Right.
Come on.
Brock Purdy didn't throw his first incompletion until the second half. I believe he went the first half 10 for 10 for 140-something yards. What's crazy to me is out of these top 10 teams for both of our lists, I think Brock Purdy might be the worst quarterback of them.
Nah, I wouldn't go that far. I'd say Purdy's better than Goff. I would say Purdy is better than Geno. And that's a stretch. I would definitely say that Purdy is better than Baker.
I'll give you that. But still, he's a bottom level quarterback based out of all these other compared to all these other teams. But you don't need to be a great quarterback
when you got a strong line like they have. Like, what are you worried about?
Their defense is incredible. I said it to somebody, I don't remember who. I hope that the Dallas Cowboys team that showed up week 1, week 2, and this past week against New England shows up in San Francisco when we play San Fran next week. Because
this next week is going to be real telling.
If Dallas can beat San Fran next week, man,
that's going to shift the rankings so much.
It will. And the game could go either way.
I throw this out here as well. If the Cowboys lose to the Niners next week, it will not hurt them that much. Nope. It will not hurt their chances that much. They may be 3-2 at the point, but they won't be like that rough of a 3-2. Like it'll be like a whoop-de-doo. They're still a strong team. But
I agree.
But if Dallas does beat San Francisco next week, then that can shake everything up.
Yeah, absolutely. One thing that I'm just kind of throwing this out here live. I want to hit the panic button on one team.
Which would be?
The Cincinnati Bengals. Yes. It is time to panic.
Agreed. 100% agree.
It is time to panic. And then I would like to give an honorable mention to the Houston Texans.
Yes, I fully agree. The Texans, I mean, we mentioned it earlier, the Texans are really starting to put it all together. I would not be surprised if within the next 3 weeks the Texans make it onto our power rankings. Mm-hmm. Like right now, they're probably in that like 11 to 15 range right now.
100%. Moving on to a segment that is getting increasingly difficult as the season goes on.
Yeah, God, yeah, this was really hard. It was actually really hard this week. I had to really like do some scrutinizing to really make some picks here.
It's time for some dick picks.
Starting off, Denver running back Jaleel McLaughlin rostered in 0.5% of leagues. Javonte Williams is dealing with injury concerns right now. If he misses any time or aggravates that injury, which right now it's looking like there's a good possibility he might miss next week, yep. I put Jaleel McLaughlin over Samaje Perine, and I drafted Perine, but Perine
McLaughlin put up 20-something points this week,
and he looked really good. Like Perine has honestly, like I've never really been that big a fan of his. Like even when he was in Cincinnati, I thought he was he was just a serviceable number 2 to Joe Mixon. I don't think he's the same number 2 as he is in Denver. And I think this is really...
at one point, Samaje Perine had the NCAA record for most rushing yards in a game.
At one point, but I think at this point, like McLaughlin looked really he looked really comfortable back there. Like he looked like for a rookie, he looked really good, especially a rookie that was not hyped up in the same way that some of the other rookie running backs have been. Your Bijans, your Charbonnets, your Jahmyr Gibbs. Like he didn't get the same hype, and he still looked really good.
If you're the type of person who streams defenses throughout the year, I would keep an eye on Jacksonville. They're only rostered in 22% of leagues. They play the Bills next week, so maybe not a start there. But after that, they have matchups against Indianapolis, New Orleans, and Pittsburgh. Might be a solid stream for 3 weeks straight.
Agreed. While we're talking about streaming, if you're the quarterback streaming type, look at Baker. Again, like Baker's looking really comfortable in Tampa Bay. I agree. I think he's really starting to meld into that offense. Right now, he's only rostered in 12.7%. If you're the kind of person that streams your quarterback, you could definitely have worse quarterbacks out there. I'm pretty sure there's worse quarterbacks rostered on more teams than Baker is right now.
We have somebody in our league who's starting Sam Howell, so
yeah, you could definitely be doing better. I'm not gonna point fingers, but you could definitely be doing better.
This next one, I'm throwing it out there just for information. I'm not quite sold just yet, but keep an eye on Cardinals wide receiver Michael Wilson. He's only rostered in 1.4% of leagues. Since week 2, he has caught all of his targets. He has been targeted 12 times and has 12 catches. And on the season, he has 16 targets with 14 catches. Consistency is pretty sure to get him some more looks, so maybe keep an eye on him there.
Not only that, but again, we kind of wrote off Josh Dobbs, but he's starting to look better. Like he's starting to look real comfortable in that under center right now in Arizona. So the team that everybody was writing off is they're gonna tank. They're looking a little bit better.
Speaking of people with the last name Dobbs,
wide receiver Romeo Dobbs. Surprisingly, only rostered in 33.9% of leagues. I mean, that's a little bit higher for our segment than usual, but we usually make 40% or our cutoff.
Yeah.
Dobbs is still I would still argue he's wide receiver 1 in that scheme. Especially
depends on how Christian Watson heals up, but yeah.
Yeah, no, I would still say Dobbs over Watson personally, but even still, that's a 1-2. If that's the case, I don't know if maybe it's because people are still worried about his injury concerns that he was coming off of, but obviously this is a very pass heavy offense. If they're not going to rely on their running backs, Dobbs is a solid pickup, if only for volume.
I'm gonna let you double dip here because this is your boy.
We repeat this every week. I mean, he's not really my boy, but at the same time, we repeat this every week. Marvin Mims needs to be rostered in every league, and the fact that he is still only rostered in 17.3% of leagues is a travesty. This man has been putting up numbers every game this season. He has become the true number 2, if not the number 1 wide receiver in Denver right now. So, I know Denver's offense isn't really scaring anybody, but again, body of work alone.
Correct.
Not only that, but I mentioned it last week, he's still an explosive kick returner as well. And you can still bank on points with that. And we say his name every week because he's still not rostered in enough leagues. He's rostered in ours, but...
Yeah. So last week after Miami put up those 70 points, in the Lost episode, I made a joke for Dick Picks. I said literally anybody in a Miami Dolphins uniform promoting Devin Achane. But this week we have Dolphins wide receiver Braxton Berrios. He's only rostered in about 2% of leagues, but with River Craycraft's injury, he stands to be the outright number 3 wide receiver in a pass-heavy Miami Dolphins offense. This is definitely someone that you would want to stash on your bench in the event that something happens to either Tyreek or Jalen Waddle.
Yeah, I think it's a safe bet if that's the case. Like, again, if anything were to happen to one of those other two, then Barrios is bound to at least get some more targets. You mentioned, of course, how last week in the last episode that you mentioned Devin A. Chan as being like the pickup. Devin A. Chan is now rostered in almost 80% of leagues.
Week 1, our dick picks was Puka Nacua, who was only in 0.2. He is now over 90%.
Yep. Which, I mean, you'd be stupid not to have him in your league right now. So, yeah.
Oh, I have him on my team.
That's right. You picked him up, and I know you're
right.
feasting.
Can't wait till Cooper comes back. I'm gonna start both of them.
Oh God! Imagine how dirty that Rams offense is gonna be with the both of them.
Somebody in the league better make me a trade offer.
Don't tempt me. So we've been sitting here talking about the NFL, but we got some news from the XFL and the USFL.
I am through the fucking roof about this, bro. I'll let you take it.
So an announcement was made this week that the XFL and the USFL are intending to merge. And a lot of people were saying this is what we need for both of the spring leagues to survive. The two needed to combine. Now, there is discussion that all 16 teams will not survive.
No, they will not.
Right now, the biggest locks, St. Louis is staying, DC's staying, Arlington obviously is staying since they won the championship. The Brahmas are staying. The Sea Dragons, obviously. And then we're missing one other one.
I think from the USFL, I think it's
Birmingham
Showboats.
and Memphis. Those are the two that are locked. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that they were actually playing in Birmingham and they were playing in Memphis. So,
yes.
like, those are teams that, like, that was one of the big arguments we had about the USFL was that they were doing the hub model of having teams only come to certain cities to play, even if it wasn't their home stadium, even if it wasn't anywhere near their home city. I can't remember which of the other teams. I feel so stupid that I can't think of the 8th team. But the two teams right now that they're talking about as not surviving from the XFL, the Vegas Vipers and the Houston Roughnecks. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that they don't have anything locked in place for them to play.
Stadium-wise.
Yeah, stadium-wise.
Right.
Honestly, with either of those teams, you're not really losing much. Plus the fact that, like, so somebody pointed this out as well. Houston, like, they had the Roughnecks from the XFL, they had the Gamblers in the USFL, and they already have the Texans. Do you really need another team in Houston outside of the Texans if the Texans are going to be doing as well as they are?
And the Houston Rockets and the Houston Astros, like
Houston's got enough teams. Houston's got enough teams.
I'd like to see him get some places that don't have teams at all, like fucking Omaha, Nebraska, or some, a football town that just doesn't have a pro team.
Oh my God! Could you imagine the Omaha jokes that'll be made if they get a team?
We will make them right here on Pigskin and Pinfalls. Stay tuned.
100%.
No, I think this is fucking great, man, because, like, you and I really got into the XFL this year.
Oh, we had so much fun covering the XFL.
We had a lot, but then you and I fell off on USFL.
It was so quick. I think that was a lot a lot of just the
growing pains of a new channel.
Not only that, but it was just like the stress of having to cover that much.
But that's
the Guardians.
That's the thing.
The Guardians was the other team that we couldn't think of. The Guardians are still a lock in Orlando
because they have a stadium.
Exactly. They got what's the name of that stadium? It's
Sun
something.
Sunfield?
Something like that. I don't remember.
Anyway, I think this is great for both leagues. I think this is great for football fans. Knock it down to like 12 teams.
Yeah.
Because again,
that's what I'm thinking. 12 teams too. Not only that, but again, when you're dropping to less teams, you're getting more players on a roster. You're getting more concentration of your better players on a roster, and that'll make for some better football.
Absolutely. A good showcase for these guys. Brandon Aubrey, I talked about him earlier, our kicker. He started off in the USFL. He started off in one of the spring leagues. But I'm all for it. I think this makes it more fun for us and like what we do with this show. It makes me looking forward to spring league. Obviously, the NFL is always going to reign supreme on it, but like it'll be more fun than talking 100%. About the same 8 teams for 10 weeks or whatever it is.
I mean, what are we really going to do? Talk about the CFL, the Arena Football League? Come on.
Never.
Come on.
Never.
Arena Football League's been around forever, and nobody still nobody talks about them.
The only time we talked about it was when Antonio Brown didn't pay his dues, and that motherfucker got his team
That
revoked.
wasn't even the AFL. That was the AAF.
Oh, that's right.
And again,
Anyway.
another league that we're not covering.
Yeah.
But no, like you're right. I think this is going to be really good for both leagues. I think that having the concentration of it. I think honestly, like the leadership that they have. We made all the jokes about The Rock and Danny Garcia buying the XFL when they went into bankruptcy because of the pandemic and whatnot. And it's all it's The Rock running the show now. But no, in all reality, like what we saw out of this year with the XFL was a very well organized and very well promoted league. If we can get
and a passionate fan base, passionate fan base.
Like think about it. We were sitting here talking about how St. Louis was so happy to have a football team again with the XFL. They were selling out a 30,000 seat stadium. Like,
bro, the beer snake for Defenders games made our fucking thumbnail title. Levis's milk fear to snakes made of beer.
Oh yeah, you're right. I forgot about that. That was a good one. That one was proud of that one. And not only that, but like since then,
say that in the. I'm sure this will get cut. But I went back and watched our videos today. I was telling you, and you literally said Levis's milk fear to snakes made of beer, and I made a face, and you go, I'm really proud of that one.
No, but like. And not only that, but like we've seen the beer snakes start popping up in other sports now. We've been seeing them at baseball games now. Like,
let's go beer snakes.
The beer snake is a thing now, and we have the DC Defenders to thank for that. Like
I no longer partake in the drinking, but I am here for the beer snake.
100%. And you know what still makes me the happiest? The beer snake is environmentally friendly because it makes it easy to recycle all those cups.
Not only that, but you make friends. Hey man, pass this beer up. Hey man, like you. It's 100%. Camaraderie. I'm here for it, bro. 100%. I am here for it. It's way better than the wave.
I will say one of the other things that they pointed out though, ESPN will not have any of the streaming rights for any of these games.
ABC, NBC, and Fox.
Yeah, you're getting all major networks for this, and I know you love Perna. I'm gonna shout Perna out here. He made a really good point that sometimes when ESPN gets these games, they like to hide things under ESPN Plus.
Yes.
So, putting them all on network television, you're getting more eyes on the product.
Yep.
This can only be good for everybody.
That rounds up our football news. We're going to move over to the wrestling side of the house now. You want to start with AEW or you want to start with WWE? Because they both had two very big deals happen.
Let's start with the much, much bigger one. So, we've barely done any coverage of AEW just because, again, like, we only have so much time in a day, and honestly, AEW really hasn't been flying off the paper, especially when we were having to deal with all the CM Punk drama. But we completely failed to mention how they put on a pay-per-view called Wrestle Dream this Sunday, basically designed to honor the legacy of Antonio Inoki on his, I believe it was the day of his death.
I think so.
Yeah, I think it's the day of his death, not his birthday. A year to the day of his passing. Tony Khan decides he's going to put on a pay-per-view that celebrates the life of Antonio Inoki, which, again, like the working partnership between AEW and New Japan, we see it all the time. It looks great. Strangely enough, that match was that card was promoted as having a main event of Darby Allin versus Christian Cage for the TNT Championship. Christian Cage wins that match, 2 out of 3 falls.
2 out of 3 falls match, yep. Tore up the ring. Nick Wayne turns on Darby Allin at the very end, costs him the victory. Post-match beatdown. Sting comes out. Luchasaurus comes out, so that way it's 3-on-1 beating down Sting. What happens next? What happens next? The lights go down, which is just such a tried and true wrestling stipulation.
Of course.
And then it says, our featured presentation. And it shows somebody walking to a car. It shows a car driving. There's something spray painted on the road that I'll get to in a second, that if you blink, you miss it. And then the lights come back up. And who do we hear? Fucking Alter Bridge. You think you know me.
Now, I want to point out, actually, it didn't say you think you know me. It said you think you know him. and it was a re-record. It wasn't the same voice, and it's because of the fact that the actual voice that was used to say "You think you know me." If you hadn't figured it out by now, we're talking about Adam Copeland. He's not Edge anymore because WWE has the rights to the name Edge, but Adam
But they
Copeland,
don't have the rights to something else, which we'll get to.
yeah, we'll get to that. But Adam Copeland comes out to Metalingus, which, and I need to point out as well, obviously, that WWE did not have the rights to Metalingus because of the fact that this is a song that appeared on Alter Bridge's actual album. So, like,
Right.
it's kind of hard to, like, unless you're paying for the rights for the music on that, which we know WWE ain't forking the money out for that.
So who was the re-record?
I don't know. I don't
Oh.
think it's been stated on who the actual re-record is, but
Not important.
yeah, not important. Comes out with the same music, the same entrance, same pyro, and you've got Sting sitting there, set up for a concerto. Christian just hands the chair over to Edge. You think for a second he's gonna do it. Oh, Adam Copeland. And instead, he just swings, hits Nick Wayne, hits Luchasaurus. Christian Cage runs out the ring. They have a nice little face down. And shortly afterwards, you get the graphic that the rated R superstar Adam Copeland is all elite.
WWE let that trademark lapse in 2020 and never picked it back up.
I wouldn't be surprised if Adam bought the rights himself for that trademark instead of AEW. I feel like that would be something, because again, that's one of the things as well. And he pointed this out in the post match. Like, I watched a little bit of the post match conference, post show press conference. He mentions how, like, he's very good friends with Mark Tremonti, and they've pretty much said, no, wherever you go, we go. And he could have used any song that he wanted. Now, I want to go back, rewind the clock a little bit, and actually talk about the way this happened. Now, of course, Edge, we can still say Edge in this case, because he had said months ago when they had that show in Toronto, he was like, I want my career to end in Toronto, at least for now, and like, he doesn't know when the next time will be that I wrestle here, and that's why he wanted to have that first time ever match against Sheamus. And shortly after that, it starts getting reported that he's out of matches on his deal. His deal ends on September 30th. You've got this AEW pay-per-view now on October 1st when he's fully available. There's no compete, and he makes his appearance. And a lot of the backstage response as well, AEW is excited. Honestly, a lot of people are already saying that he's going to fill the gap that it was left when they fired CM Punk, which he said himself. He's like, I don't want to just wrestle here. I want to help participate. Like, I want to help get involved. I want to help build this company. I want to help build these build this roster.
TK said he's a full-time star.
Yeah, he's full-time. Like, there's no question about it. Like, this is something that is full, like, it's a real deal. It's not some kind of part-timer thing. Yes, it's them relying on another legend, but at the same time, so here's the thing. He released like a 4-part tweet today.
Yeah.
And he basically,
are they still called tweets?
I don't know what to call them. It'll always be Twitter to me. I'm sorry.
I agree.
Fuck you, Elon. It'll always be Twitter to me. My thing is, so he basically says, look, this is completely amicable. I left WWE on good terms. I have nothing but respect for the 25 years that I had there. But the simple fact of the matter is there was nothing left for me to do there. And he's right. There was really nothing left for him to do. He had Judgment Day, and then he immediately turned the reins over to Judgment Day to the young stars because they didn't need him. In all honesty, like, what was left for him to do in WWE? Nothing. There was nothing left.
So in our notes, I put boo in parentheses because this is purely selfish reasons. I'm so glad we're getting another Adam Copeland and Christian Cage run together, whether that's against each other or with each other. Mm-hmm. I just wanted it to happen in WWE. Also, I want to give the commentators in AEW so much credit for having restraint because when he came out, my first thought was if this happened in WWE, like vice versa, they would have been like, Adam Copeland's here and he's got an edge to him. And like, they didn't do that.
That's true. They didn't.
So,
and
I really wanted this run in WWE. We may still fucking get it, man.
Yeah.
Like, it's
So
not
again,
out
like
of
they
the-
said, the door's still open for him. Everyone was very amicable with it. The big, as we mentioned, everyone in AEW backstage is very excited to have him in. And not only that, but already the reports coming out of the WWE locker room is we're happy for him. We're very happy for, because again, like, this is somebody that still has a lot to do with, and he even said it himself. There's a lot of dream matches that he can have being there. A lot of matches that he has never done. Honestly, him sharing the ring with Sting last night, really, like, that was the immediately, like, the light bulb was in my head, went off. It was like, oh my god, we have the opportunity to see Edge and Sting in this, Adam Copeland and Sting in the same ring. We're gonna keep calling him Edge for at least a couple weeks.
What decade are we in?
That's the other thing too. It's just like, it makes you wonder. Like, again, Father Time knows no bounds when it comes to wrestling.
My biggest thing, super happy for Adam Copeland, super happy for Christian Cage. Adam came out and said one of the main. This is, I don't know how serious this is, but it's really cool because, you know, father to father, I get it. He came out and he said one of the big reasons that he went to AEW is because his daughter said he should, quote, go have fun with Uncle Jay. And that's Christian Cage.
Of course. Does this mean we're getting their podcast back? Because that was honestly one of my favorite podcasts.
Freaks of Awesomeness?
Yes. I honestly, that the ENC pod was one of my favorite podcasts for years. And when they said they were canceling it when Christian left for AEW, it broke my heart because I thought it was such a great show.
It was. But back to what I was saying, the one big thing I do, like I said, I'm super happy for Adam. I'm super happy for Christian. But the one thing I really don't like is it's another WWE talent to AEW.
Yeah, I get that. But again, like, when it comes down to the point of he had nothing left to do in WWE, I completely
get it.
This is one of the few times I'll give them the buy on this. I agree with you, and I've already mentioned it, but again, this is one of the few times where it's just like, all right, yeah, this one, you win this time. You win this time. Plus the fact that it's not really going to be, like, they may still have a tag team run together, but right now it's looking more like it's going to be Edge. It's going to be more Adam Copeland versus Christian Cage. And I'm also down to, because the last time they tried doing that, it didn't go too well. They didn't have the best of storylines building them. Now you've got the two of them as absolute stars. You can have them in a highlight feud, one against the other. You definitely just increased numbers. They've already said that he will be present on Dynamite to give his mission statement this week. And then next week on Dynamite, he will face, in his very first match, he will face Luchasaurus, which already another dream match. Like, I know not a lot of people hold, like, I know not a lot of people really give credit to Luchasaurus for being the talent that he is, especially when you consider he's a non-talking character and whatnot. I've always liked him. Ever since I first saw him in Lucha Underground as Vibora, I thought he was amazing.
I enjoy Luchasaurus. I agree. No, but yeah, it's, you know, good for them. But not to be outdone, WWE had their own major signing.
And who would that be?
Jade motherfucking Cargill.
She's honestly, she fits the WWE style better.
They are giving her the fucking royal treatment, bro.
Mm-hmm. And she deserves it. Honestly, she deserves 100%. It. Now, something.
And I'm gonna play devil's advocate to myself real quick.
Okay.
The more this happens, the more AEW goes to WWE, the less impact a WWE person going to AEW is going to have. Because eventually it's just going to be the top two companies and talent finding places that fit them best.
Which is honestly, like, that's what you dream of. That's the whole reason they built AEW in the first place, was to have a place for stars to go that wasn't the big Fed. And this is really giving them the opportunity to be like, this is giving people the opportunity to say, no, I'm going to compete for the better contract. So one of the things that was brought up during the press conference as well, when somebody actually asked Tony Khan, what's going on, what was the deal with Jade Cargill? He basically said, look, we went through several weeks of negotiations. We offered her more money than she even asked for in the first place, and it still wasn't enough. WWE was just offering her more. And At that point, if it becomes too expensive, then yeah, whatever. Then he said at that point, when we realized that it was gonna have to be that way, that he wanted to do everything in her power to let her have the best exit possible. And in reality, she did. Her having that, she dropped the title to Chris Statlander, had that rematch, had a great rematch, let them hug it out afterwards, and she says got her flowers and deuced out. And I think this is a great opportunity. Now, the other thing about it too is she has said she knows which brand she's going to, but she will not say who it is, and you just have to keep your eye on all three brands. So I would like to pose the question to you. Where is she going?
I said this last week in our Lost episode. I think she's going to SmackDown.
I think, honestly, what they need right now, and this is completely reactionary to what's been happening right now, I would say she fits better in Raw. Because right now, the top of the Raw roster is very, very bare. They're clearly going to give her the star treatment. She's probably going to come in as a babyface. And if that's the case, here's the problem. Now, here's the thing. When you look at the title pictures and the way they are right now, the top of SmackDown's card is way too crowded right now, to the point where Asuka feels like a sixth wheel at this point. Like, you have so many stars up top vying for that top title. Whereas on Raw, all you have right now at the top of the card is Rhea Ripley, and now this whole thing with Nia Jax, and then everybody else is either in the tag division or NXT, or is now facing Becky for the NXT women's title, because they're putting that on. What?
Didn't Becky lose that?
No, she defended it at No Mercy this past weekend against Tiffany Stratton in the rematch in an Extreme Rules match. It was supposed to be tonight. Whoever won that match, which obviously in this case was Becky, she was supposed to she was supposed to defend that title against Tegan Nox. Now, the only reason that didn't happen is because during the Extreme Rules match, Becky got a nice, nasty looking cut on her arm. It took 11 stitches, and because of that, she wasn't cleared to wrestle tonight. I did see that they used Tegan a little. They did use Tegan Nox in a match against Chelsea Green tonight. They're trying to build her up, but more importantly, Becky said herself that right now her goal with the NXT title is to put a spotlight on talent that would otherwise normally not get shown. And
fair. Going back to Jade Cargill, you would have her come to Raw and dethrone Rhea.
I wouldn't say dethrone Rhea, but definitely not immediately.
Feud, dude.
Not She's immediately. No, I'm saying at the very least, you keep her away from Rhea for a little bit.
And that's where I disagree with you. She goes to SmackDown and takes the belt off Rhea.
That again, the top of that card is way too packed. I think with the way that they're treating her, she's not going to go to NXT. Let's just go and put that out there right now. They're treating her like a main roster talent. They're paying her like a main roster talent. And we're going to get into something here that was actually part of last week's episode, but we're bringing it back here because it's still very major news. But right now, the big talk, if you're going to throw that much money at her, you want her on the main roster.
I agree. I really want Jade versus Charlotte.
I agree, and I think that eventually we will get that. But that's the beautiful thing about it, too, is that you don't have to do that just now. And if she's around for a multi-year deal, like she says, you've got plenty of time to get around to that. And if anything, you can save that for later when it's a nice, juicy matchup.
Okay.
Plus, especially with the way that Charlotte's being treated like a babyface right now, you don't want babyface versus babyface in that situation just yet.
Agreed. Last question before we move on to the next part. When does she debut?
Before the end of the month.
Really?
I say before the end of the month.
Okay.
I think they get her involved. I would not be surprised if they find a way to get her involved. And I'm saying the Raw here because I think it's going to be Raw. I would not be surprised if she makes her debut on the Raw after Fastlane.
I think she debuts at the Rumble.
I don't think they wait that long. It's a good call. It's a good call. Yes.
Hear me out. Buzz, hype, all that right now, right? It's all around Jade. Let it die out a little bit. Debuts at the Rumble, it ramps right the fuck back up.
100% I agree. And that's something that she doesn't have to win to still be hot as shit.
Correct.
So yeah, I can agree with that.
She could come in at like entry 11 or 12, eliminate 4 or 5 people, and then have somebody dump her over the top rope. There's Jade's Mania match. Boom. We're off and running.
Yep. So we should probably bring this up because this was the big topic last week that we really covered, that we spent a lot of time on, but we didn't really but because we lost that episode, we didn't get the chance to talk about it. We still need to bring this up. We saw the first round of mass releases since 2021 just a week ago, and like a week and a half ago now.
Due to the merger of WWE and UFC, this was not a budget cut related.
It was, but it wasn't. It wasn't directly stated as budget cuts, but it was one of those things where they sat down, they analyzed everyone's deals, they looked at how much they were getting paid versus how much they were getting used, and how much future potential they saw in those people. And that's a lot of the reason that this happened, was just the fact that they had some of these people that were getting paid more than they were getting used for, and that they just had to cut the losses. And some of these names also were people that just weren't getting used in general and needed to, and it was just their time. So let's start with the top of our list. I know we did it like scrambled all over. We were jumping all over last week. Let's just go right down the list because we're short on time.
We'll go quicker. Yeah.
We start off with Mustafa Ali. Honestly, somebody that should have been deserved way better. Shawn Michaels has gone on record as saying he was very disappointed by that one because of the fact that Ali was still scheduled for that match at No Mercy against Dominic. Was supposed to happen, and the fact that they fired him meant that he never even got to participate in that match. He was somebody that was getting used really well on NXT. Shawn Michaels was really high on him. He was getting used. He was finally rebuilding his star. This was one of those situations where they looked at how much money he was making. He was making main roster money, was being used in NXT, and just they thought he wasn't worth the money that he was being paid. Now, before we go any further, one of the things I want to address as well, they did say that all of these names, there's nothing that says that any of them can't come back with rework deals.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, honestly, Mustafa Ali asked to be released multiple times publicly. Finally got his wish. It sucks he got his wish before he was probably going to win a belt, in NXT, because his replacement won that belt.
I'm okay with Trick winning, though.
I love that after he won, the whole crowd was going, "Whoop that Trick, whoop that."
Well, they do that for his entrance too. Like that's just what they do. I love it. And they even had Trick with the title on Raw tonight. He got a backstage interview. He got to show off who he is. He did great mic work. I think Trick is one of the most improved members of the roster over the past year, and I think he deserves that. But we're not talking about him right now.
Mustafa Ali, I would love to see him go to New Japan, maybe AEW. I think there's a lot of dream matches out there for him, similar to Adam Copeland. It sucks, man. Like he's always going to be one of those what if wrestlers.
Absolutely. Especially when you think the what if of what happened when he got injured and he got taken out of that Elimination Chamber match and replaced by Kofi, and that's what led to Kofi Mania. Or
the what if when he was supposed to win the briefcase and then Brock showed up.
That too. Like there are so many what ifs with him. Like this was, of all the names, I think this was the hardest hit.
Oh, hardest hit as a wrestling fan. I think the next one, Emma, was the hardest hit emotionally.
Yes.
Simply because WWE had announced that they're going to be doing Elimination Chamber in Perth, which is where Emma is from.
Well, she's from Australia. I don't think she's actually from Perth.
She tweeted out saying, like, Elimination Chamber in Perth, so excited to be able to wrestle in front of my home country. And then less than an hour later, she tweeted out, "Oops, never mind, got released."
All right, she's actually from Melbourne, so
okay,
yeah, not Perth. She's from the south. She's from the southeast, not the northwest. Perth is the northwest. The whole big thing with Perth is that it's the west coast. So
yeah,
but I agree. It was a hard hit because of just the way things were timed. She's another one of those people that is another. It's just another case of what could have been, because she definitely. I remember her run in Impact after she got let go the first time, and she really rebuilt herself as Tennille Dashwood, and she did really good. I wouldn't be surprised if we see Tennille Dashwood make her way to AEW. I think there's a lot of fresh matchups there, and she can really
as Tennille Dashwood.
As Tennille Dashwood, obviously she's not going to be Emma, but she'll go back to her real name, and I think that she'll have a really solid career helping with that women's division. One of the things I want to point out as well was the fact that they mentioned that, again, one of those things where she's main roster making main roster money, but isn't really being used in the main roster as much. And a lot of things too was the fact that when she got rehired, people were saying it was specifically because of depth. They wanted roster depth. And I feel like they're at a point now where they can afford to let her go for the roster depth.
And they really didn't have a whole lot for her. So yeah, hopefully she can find another company and continue to do what she loves.
We'll put this one right next to her as well, but her partner Riddick Moss.
Yeah.
Again, another person that just was not
real life
being
partner.
used. Real life partner.
Like real life.
The both of them getting released together, it sucks. The person that was most high on Riddick Moss was Heyman, when Heyman was in charge. When Heyman gave up the reins and would like move to other ventures in the company and wasn't the general man, wasn't the man behind the scenes in Raw anymore, that killed his push.
And honestly, Riddick Moss also handled it so well. He was hilarious. After they announced, I think it was SRS announced that Riddick Moss was released. Riddick retweeted it and was like, "No, I didn't answer the phone." And like he was like joking around with it. He handled it so professionally. So it sucks, but
it's the nature of the business.
And he's not done wrestling. No. Any company will pick him up because, like you said, he's young, he's talented.
Don't be surprised if he goes to AEW as just because of the fact of like a depth name. If not that, I wouldn't honestly send Riddick Moss to Ring of Honor.
I don't hate that.
Send him to Ring of Honor. I think you need to start building up that Ring of Honor roster a little bit, especially now that Tony Khan's talking about doing monthly pay-per-views.
Yeah.
And some of those, you can make some of those Ring of Honor branded, put them in Ring of Honor. Let them compete against the names there.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that'd be a good fit for him.
Next, we have Elias. He didn't have a whole lot to do after his Ezekiel and Elias thing ended out. There really wasn't much left for him. Elias was kind of a one-trick pony, but he did his one trick very, very, very well. Everybody always points back to that segment in Seattle with him and KO. Where they got so much heat and the crowd booed him for fucking 5 minutes straight. But yeah, again, there wasn't a whole lot left for him to do. He really gained his popularity on the main roster. He wasn't much in NXT, but when he came up with his walk with Elias, it was a hit.
He's great on the mic. Any company would be good to have him. He's amazing on the mic. A lot of people aren't very high on his wrestling ability. I think I have always been high on his wrestling ability, even when other people weren't. I think he's a great wrestler. I think he's serviceable is the best way to put it. Especially when you consider he is more of a charisma-based person, where it's more about his personality. Again, any company would be good to have him. I wouldn't be surprised to see him in Impact. I think that would be a better fit for him. Top Dollar was unfortunately released, which is weird because they didn't release Ashante Adonis or B-Fab. They were actually on SmackDown last week.
Still is Hit Row?
I believe so. Ashante Adonis was getting beaten down backstage by Jimmy and Solo when they were doing the whole, we're going to beat down anybody that could ask to be seen as partner.
That's unfortunate.
It is unfortunate.
Ashante Adonis is not going to be John Cena's partner.
So,
I know who is.
I originally put down that this was a now deleted X post. It was not deleted. I was wrong. That post still exists. But AJ Francis had claimed that he was labeled as difficult to work with for standing up for BFAB at one point. When asked about this, he actually posted what I thought was the post that got deleted. He reposted the discussion that was like sent in his DMs, and he didn't name who it was, but he did say that it was a WWE Hall of Famer.
I don't know, man.
I have my suspicions. I do not want to speculate, but I can see it. I understand it. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if it really is a shame too, because of the way that he really rebuilt himself in those last couple of months after they got rehired the first time, because of the fact he lost a lot of weight to get in ring shape, because I know that that's one of Vince's things is he hates the fat people, but it's whatever. I mean, I think he is. I think he's still great on the mic. I think that he would benefit. Send him the Ring of Honor too. Send him the Ring of Honor.
I'm not high on Top Dollar. I never have been. This one you kind of saw coming because ever since he botched his over the top rope thing, and they just constantly referenced it on commentary.
Consistently made fun of him. Yeah, his career was dead at that point, honestly.
Yeah.
At least in WWE.
Another one who I don't care that they're gone. Rick Boogs. I said a minute ago that Elias was a one-trick pony. Rick Boogs was a same-trick pony as Elias, but did it way worse.
We last week in our lost episode, we made a lot of jokes about him just being a coked out Elias. He felt like he was still a wrestler in the 80s. And his whole gimmick was just over the top, being a wild guitarist, and it was just, again, like you said it yourself, same trick pony, one trick pony. He said somewhere, we got to find the source again.
I think it was Instagram.
But it was corroborated by some of the news outlets. He stated that his career ended the day that Vince McMahon left, which honestly it lines up because the minute that Vince was out of power, when that whole thing went down, he disappeared.
Yes, Rick Boogs is 100% a Vince McMahon character. However, the way it's worded is what I have issues with. Because if you think being released from WWE one time is the end of your career, there's bigger issues there.
Yeah, I think.
And Rick Boogs, man, he is so fucking strong. Like, if he would have come a couple years earlier and could have been paired up with Simon Gotch and Aiden English as a vaudevillain type strong man, that would fucking hit. This coked out rocker thing is not it, bro.
I have a hot take. If he had never gotten injured during that WrestleMania match when he was trying to do the spot with him lifting both Usos, if he had never gotten injured there, he'd still have a career.
His chances of still having a career are much higher if that doesn't happen.
Yes, agreed. Next one is unfortunate, but honestly, again, like one of those ones that we saw coming. Aaliyah. Aaliyah was let go. It's been 8 years. She'd been with the company since 2015. Forever barely used. She never really showed a lot of improvement. Hell, she was in developmental. She was one of those people that was in developmental for like 7 years and never did anything with it. Yep. And it felt like there was a lot of times where I was just like, how is she even still with the company? No disrespect. She's still a great wrestler. She still did her part, but she never really lived up to any sort of visual development, nor did she have any sort of character that really went anywhere. She will forever have the record now for the shortest match ever, and that's going to be that's going to be a record that's very, very hard to beat. And at least she did win the tag titles before she got injured. So as one of the many Franken teams that partnered with Raquel, she does still have that going for her. I wouldn't be surprised if we see her find her way to be as an enhancement talent in any of the other feds. But I gotta be honest, I don't see her going too much farther in her wrestling career. No offense.
I agree with you, and it might be best for her to pursue other interests or take it all the way back to the indies and try to reinvent a la Matt Cardona.
I agree with that.
Next one kind of sucks just because you and I both have been watching him for so long. We lost the gold standard. Shelton Benjamin was released.
Now, the good thing about doing this a week after is that we've had more news come out. Multiple AEW talents have been pushing for them to hire Shelton Benjamin. I would love to see him in AEW. I think that he would have great matches there, and I think that he's somebody that could actually stand out as being a veteran name. He may get lost in the shuffle, but at the same time, he's a good veteran hand to have help teach some of these younger stars. I wouldn't be mad about it.
I agree. The next one is the real one we want to see in AEW, though. I know I literally just shit on them for always signing WWE guys, but I want this guy in AEW.
Everyone wants him in AEW. And, just go ahead and say it.
Dolph Ziggler.
19 years with the WWE, 1,554 matches, second all-time behind Kane.
Televised matches.
Televised matches.
Like, that's a lot.
Much like we said this last week, before we even had the news about Adam Copeland, he's another one of those people that really didn't have a lot left to do in WWE.
He's done it all.
He really has. And there was, no matter how much he tried, everyone always looked at him as a carbon copy of Shawn Michaels. And it never felt like he got his due. I think, and I was saying this long before people had already been making jokes about it, and him even appearing on BTE.
Yep.
I think the next step that is most logical for him is to go to AEW and start a tag team with his brother. I think it is the most natural fit for him. I think that I know that the two of them have openly said more than enough times that they want to work together. I think that would be honestly something that would even help from push Ryan Nemeth into the into the limelight a little bit more than I think Ryan Nemeth is very underrated.
And the funny thing is a few days before he was released, Ryan Nemeth did post a picture of the two of them holding the AEW tag belts, and then 2 days later, Dolph was released. But according to Fightful Select, Ziggler was ready to leave the company years ago, but got talked into staying. And his contract was also set to expire in the summer of next year.
He was another one of those names that he was making main roster money and was only barely showing up on NXT every now and again. This is something that, again, they had to look at it as cost cutting, and again, there was nothing left for him to do. So, good on him. Good on him.
The next one hurts me, because I've been a fan of hers for a very long time. Dana Brooke was released. Again, never really quite lived up to any expectations. She tried a bunch of different gimmicks. Remember when she was the statistician for Titus O'Neil?
That was so weird. And that was also when she was only a manager, too. There were so many years where she was used only as a manager and not very well.
Remember when she was Charlotte's assistant?
That was in NXT even.
I know. It sucks. I was a big fan of Dana Brooke, but again, she had all the athleticism. She had the greatest attitude backstage. Everybody said she would always stay late, help break down the ring and things like that.
Another person that got into really great shape after people she was never really in bad shape beforehand, but especially over the past year, she looked amazing. She got real fit.
They were finding things for her to do on NXT recently, and but main roster contract on NXT. Similar theme.
I think she would fit well in either. Would you rather see her in Impact or in AEW? Don't you say it. I know what you want to say. Don't say it.
You're gonna make me repeat this joke?
Don't you do it.
I would like to see her somewhere else, but I'll keep it PG.
I can't with you. I can't.
Just being honest. I think I would like to see her in Impact more. Impact does more with their women. They handle their women wrestlers a little bit better than AEW is. I brought this up on the Lost episode. In 2022, of the 52 weeks Dynamite was on the card, 51 weeks only featured one women's match. So AEW does not prioritize their women's wrestling the way some other companies do. So, yeah, I would like to see her go to Impact.
That's fair. I think that's all the more reason why she should go to AEW. But, yeah, I agree. She would probably be a great fit for Impact in that Knockouts division. I think she's a shoo-in for that Knockouts division, honestly. She would fit right in with the rest of the beautiful people with Velvet Sky, Angelina Love. She would fit so well into that stable.
Oh my God, yeah.
It would be perfect. The last big names that we want to talk about. The rest are still kind of big, but they're all a little bit lower. The last big ones.
This is the last big one. The rest of them are not.
Yeah. So Mason Mansoor, Masay Mansour, however you want to name them. Both of them were let go, which is unfortunate because, of course, they had openly said, give us whatever. We will take whatever. And they were never really given the opportunity. Even when they had the whole Maximum Male Models thing going, they lost Maxine to Alpha Academy because of the simple fact that they were like, oh, no, we're just going to put her over there and you guys are done. And it's really unfortunate. The fun thing about this, though, is that Brennan Williams has been taking full advantage of this. I remember a couple of weeks ago when
Mace, right?
What?
That's Mace.
Yeah. So a couple weeks ago, we had brought up how the Twitch ban was lifted for
Correct.
WWE wrestlers. And they were the first ones, the night before it had even gotten announced, they were already on Twitch dishing all sorts of shit. All sorts of backstage stuff. I mean, we were even talking about it on the show. We were like, hey, look, this is a thing. Go check it out. They have since gone back to Twitch. The two of them just doing fireside chats, dishing all the backstage, all the dirt. They've been telling so many stories. Apparently, the original plan for Maxine Dupree was supposed to be Max Dupree in a dress. They had talked about how they were given the spot where they had to promote the bottles of water during SummerSlam, and that was probably one of the funniest moments of any pay-per-view in a long time. They took that and ran with it.
It sucks, man. Mansoor kind of got signed due to the deal with Saudi, in my opinion. Very similar to when Jinder Mahal was given a fucking championship reign because of the India expansion. But Mansoor was, they always brought him out for the Saudi shows, Crown Jewel and things like that. And Mace, man, he tried, bro. Like, I'll give him credit, man.
He got bad deal after bad deal after bad deal. Let's not forget that it was before any of that stuff, he was Dio Madden doing commentary.
So first he was Dio Madden the wrestler. Mm-hmm. Then he was Dio Madden doing commentary where he got F5'd by Brock, and he was like, I want to go back to wrestling. And they said, deal. We'll let you go back to wrestling. We have this great new stable that we're going to introduce. How about you come be part of Retribution?
And we all know how Retribution went. Well, considering
Mustafa Ali. Of all the Retribution characters or people, who's left?
Dijak. T-Bar's back to being Dijak, thankfully.
And
Mia Yim, yeah.
She got released and came back.
They moved her to the OC, where she's doing a lot better. So it's whatever. And then the other funny thing about it was that Brennan pointed out on X, also, I'm not giving back the Up, Down, Down championship. Sorry, not sorry.
I don't believe it.
I think because of that, we see Brennan Williams come back on a similar deal like Tyler Breeze and only work on Up, Down, Down.
I don't think that that's a WWE contract. I think Tyler Breeze has a WWE contract, but I don't think Up, Down, Down and
No. It is actually listed like Up, Down, Down is now officially like a WWE property. Yes, Xavier Woods is. Yes, Austin Creed is like in charge of it, but it's still like it's a WWE sponsored thing. But the good thing about that means they get WWE money to do everything. Like when they did their summer games, they would have never been able to do that without WWE money. Let's be real. Well, I mean, they probably could have, but I'm pretty sure Austin Creed's a lot happier to not foot the bill on that. Yeah. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see him come back on a deal like Tyler Breeze and actually do work with Up, Down, Down. Just because at the same time, again, he has a big presence on Twitch, and he's really good on the mic, and he's very entertaining. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if we see him have one of those kind of deals. It's similar to how when I believe it was when it was Mia Yim, when she got released and she was holding, I think, the left right championship at the time. And they were like, well, what are we going to do? We got to crown a new champion. And I think this is an opportunity again, like they can bring him in so that way he can still defend that championship and then still be able to do some stuff backstage, because he never really was big on screen, but a lot of their digital stuff, he's always been a star on. So I think that would be a really good fit. Mansoor, Impact. I think he'd be good on Impact.
MLW.
Ooh, good shout. I like that.
MLW.
I like that.
Own his craft a bit.
Yeah, I like that. All right, some of the lesser names. Let's just go ahead and knock some of these out. Quincy Elliott, the Super Diva. I know a lot of people I know he got a lot of heat with that character just because of the fact that it's like the women's division is trying to get away from the whole diva persona, and then you're a male that's trying to do this whole diva thing. It rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. And ever since then, he was barely ever featured on television. Like, he had like a month where he was pushed, and then that was it. Impact, because they treat LGBTQ storylines much better. If you're gonna do it, go to where they do it best. Shanky, another one of those.
Who gives a shit?
Honestly, he was never really good in the ring. All he got was a dancing gimmick out of it. They originally had him trying to come in as part of Indusher, and now Indusher is back to being Veer and Sangha. Honestly, where have they been?
Did Veer ever make it to Raw?
I think he did one time, and then they sent him right back down to NXT to go team back with Sangha.
But yeah, with Shanky, man, when you're that big and they give you a dancing gimmick, a la Brodus Clay,
you're
not
done.
a good sign.
You're done. Ulysses Leon has been most recently seen tagging with Valentina Feroz on NXT. She'd been around since the Mae Young Classic. Not a lot of there hadn't been a lot of development. They really tried with her. She just wasn't developing.
I don't even know who that is.
That's fair. But I mean,
Next.
she did her best.
Next we have Commander Aziz, General Aziz, Raw Underground, Apollo Cruz's bodyguard. Couldn't figure anything out to do with him, so they just gave him a little bit of everything until eventually
they ran out of things for him to do. And honestly, it was with him. It was always just big dude doing big things to small people. That's all it ever was with him. Ikemen Jiro.
One good segment. No, not good.
Not even one good segment.
One weird segment.
One really weird segment of him eating a lot of food and having to take a shit in the middle of a pay-per-view. Just doing backstage. He did have a great tag team when it was him and Kushida being Jacket Time. But considering Kushida's been gone for a while now, like, Ikemen Jiro, again, like, maybe he was used on Level Up every now and again, but other than that, you never really saw him. Sorry, but not sorry to see him go.
I didn't know Level Up was a thing until like a month ago.
Damn. Seriously. I mean, does anybody even watch Level Up?
NXT is developmental. Level Up is NXT's developmental.
Right. Which, I mean, granted.
It's like Level Up and then like OVW right here.
Yeah, kind of. A couple of names from the PC that have been released: Bryson Montana, Kevin Ventura Cortez, Daniel MacArthur, Alexis Gray, Bookham Barlow, Abule Abadi Fitzgerald. This is one of those situations, again, how they had talked in the past about how if you don't see development out of your PC talent after a certain amount of time, then sorry, thanks for coming. It's not working out. Best of luck in your future endeavors.
Then the biggest name came out the following day because it was not necessarily a part of the releases due to the merger. It was released due to something else.
Matt Riddle.
Oh.
It's unfortunate. I know it was all of, like, I believe it was our last episode when the news came out about there being an incident with him at JFK. We said ourselves we didn't really want to cover it too much because there was a lot of what ifs. There's a lot of, like, suspicion, like, what's going on back there. But this is one of those. This is legitimately, like, everyone says that, like, the word that was coming out was that he was viewed as a liability and that he had, and I quote, burned through too many chances. I said this on last week's episode. I will say it again. I think we're in the midst of seeing a man in the middle of mental distress.
Yeah.
I think he has actively been through a lot. He's lost his wife, his kids, turned that into a storyline, which is always never a good idea, let's be real. His makeshift tag team with Randy Orton, yes, Randy was having fun with it, but Randy's on the shelf now. So what are you going to do there? And then everything about him in the public eye right now is just him about this outrageous life he's living with his porn star girlfriend.
He went to rehab earlier in the year. It's looking like the rehab didn't stick.
Like, it's unfortunate, but this is a situation where eventually it's just going to have to come to a point where he has to, like, this has to be the kick in his ass that he needs to get help.
Yeah.
That's really what it comes down to. Like, this needs...
WWE did it with Kurt Angle. They said, go to rehab and get help or you're fired. And Kurt said, fuck y'all, I'm not going to rehab. And it got worse for Kurt when he went to TNA, but eventually he got it right.
And he got the help and he finally felt better. And I'm really hoping that they do the same thing with, like, the same thing happens for Riddle. Like, he has a lot of promise.
Now, I will say one of the issues with that, there is a lot of companies that are now vying for him.
A lot of MMA companies even are vying for him. So there's a lot of people that are still willing to throw a lot of money at him.
Keep in mind, dude, he's 38. He's past his fighting. Like, I don't think he's getting into MMA to fight.
Yeah. I at this point, and if he is, he's probably gonna lose, just because of the age.
CM Punk.
CM Punk, great example. But
I'm
again,
hungry.
I think that this needs to be his wake up call to get
I hope
help.
it is.
I really
Hope
do.
it is.
He has so much promise. The only downside, now I keep getting ads on Facebook or whatever and everywhere for all of his WWE merch being on like 40% off, 50%. It's like, man, that's just salt in the wound. Come on now.
Yeah, I'm hungry.
Let's get to some leftovers.
I want the first one.
Go right ahead.
Vince McMahon said that he thought WWE had plateaued or stagnated, and that's why the merger with UFC had to happen.
Whatever.
You smell that? It
Smells
smells
like
like
bullshit.
No, that's first of all, when that merger was announced, that was like the peak of the Bloodline storyline. Everything with Judgment Day was fucking firing on all cylinders. Like it was the best WWE had been in fucking 20 years.
Agreed.
Merger did not happen for that. If you want to know why the merger happened, do your own independent research because we ain't talking about it.
Yeah, but it definitely was not because WWE had plateaued or stagnated. They've been making money hand over fist lately. There is no stagnation.
None.
All right, I put these next two together because it actually like goes into each other. Are you familiar with the YouTuber Dankops?
I am.
Did you know that he has been training for a wrestling career?
I did not.
So, Chris Danger, as he is now going by, has been the color commentator on DPW for a hot minute. Now, I've recently started getting really into DPW, finding out now that they actually do a lot of their programs here in my hometown, out of the Armory. I was actually supposed to go to the Carolina Classic the other week, but I couldn't afford to take the time off. A couple weeks ago, on DPW Live, he made an announcement that he had in his hand a contract for his very first ever wrestling match. And he said himself that if he's going to do it, he's going to do it right. And he calls out Adam Cole.
Adam Cole can carry personalities through their first match.
Not to mention the fact that
you, Pat McAfee.
Well, not only that, but they've actually been training together. Like this is somebody they're apparently really good friends. And this was a matter of him saying, it's like, no, if I'm going to do this, I want to do it right with one of my friends and one of my trainers and like somebody that I have a lot of respect for. And if I'm going to do it, if I'm going to have my first ever wrestling match, I want to move the needle. And he's doing a damn good job with it by calling out Adam Cole. Now, at the Carolina Classic, he came out on commentary and says, hey, I haven't heard anything about it yet, so we're going to have to wait about it. And then we get a vignette on the Tron of Adam Cole sitting down and saying, yes, I have signed that contract and it will happen. I am here for it. I have all the most utmost respect. Now, here's the problem with that. Adam Cole, a couple weeks ago on Dynamite Grand Slam, had a run-in to help save MJF, where he jumped off the ramp and his ankle literally exploded. Yep. Broke in 3 places, ligaments torn, everything. That's put a lot of strain on him and MJF being the Ring of Honor tag champs. MJF at Wrestle Dream last night actually defended the titles in a handicap match successfully. They're trying to hold out for Adam Cole to heal up as fast as possible. That match was originally slated for DPW's taping on November 12th, which I believe was supposed to be here in town and I was going to go to. Nice. Naturally, because of the injury, it's not going to happen now, but it is still slated to happen down the road. I think this is still great. I am excited to see what Chris Danger does because there's a lot of hype surrounding him right now. And plus the fact that it's probably going to be happening here in Durham. I'm really excited. Nice. So we'll see how it goes.
If I had to pick a video game YouTuber to fight in a WWE match, I'm going with Tim the Tap Man.
Why Tim the Tap Man?
He's a Cowboys fan.
Didn't he fight at the Creator Clash or whatever? Yeah. You've got somebody that has some fight experience against you. Good luck. That's boxing.
Anyway, we got some news about the Super Bowl halftime show, and this year the performer is going to be Usher. I can't tell you how unexcited I am.
I can because I'm unexcited. This does not move the needle for me.
I'm looking forward to hearing "Yeah" And that's it. Because the rest of Usher's songs are love songs or like slow songs or, like Burn or Confessions. And like, yeah, good music 15 years ago. Not what I want at my Super Bowl halftime show. I'm trying to get hype. You have Wheezy, Lil Wayne out there who just fucking dropped a mixtape and has the Carter 6 coming. Why would you not have him perform?
Look, we all know you're a Lil Wayne stan. All right, we know.
This new mixtape is trash, though.
You said it, not me.
2 good songs on it.
You said it, not me.
2 good songs on it. Tuxedo and Cat Food. Shout out Lil Wayne.
Yeah. Randy Orton, we mentioned how he's injured. He has been spotted back at the Performance Center getting in the training to get back into shape. Man looks like a brick shithouse, apparently.
Did you see the picture?
No, I didn't.
Oh my god. So he's walking into the building, and a photographer must shout like, "Hey Randy" or something. And Randy Orton turns and looks at the photographer and goes like this. It's not John Cena, it's Randy. You do see him.
Yeah.
And he's rocking the classic fucking tank top hoodie, no sleeve thing. I wish I could pull that look off.
I'm not gonna lie, I've started doing it too. I've got a couple hoodies because I've got so many hoodies. I've cut the sleeves off on them now, and it's good to work out in. It's good.
It looks so cool. I wish I could do it. I need to lose a couple lbs.
That's on you. Can't help that.
I know. I had ground turkey instead of ground beef tonight. Okay.
Hey, good on you. Good on you. Wise choices. I had a burger. I can't say shit. All right. MLW, CMLL, and NJ and New Japan have announced a strategic working partnership where they're going to be trading their talent a lot over. Last I checked, they already had that, but now they're just making it official. So good on them. Cool. Dave Batista has taken ownership stake of Devil's River Whiskey based out of San Antonio. So Batista's got his own liquor now. He's up there with The Rock and everybody else, Clooney, and
I think whiskey fits Dave Batista better than tequila fits The Rock.
Disagree. I think the tequila fits The Rock very well.
He's not Hispanic.
It's not a matter of that. Here's why I say that. As somebody that himself, I know you don't drink anymore. I have switched to tequila.
What?
Because there are 2 alcohols that you can drink that are low carb, low calorie, and are very good when you're trying to get in shape. And it's tequila or vodka. And we know I ain't going for vodka.
I feel like I don't even know who you are as a person anymore. You're telling me that you would not throw back a shot of JD.
Oh, I would still throw back a JD I'd still throw back a shot of JD in a heartbeat. But my go-to lately has, ironically enough, when I was really getting into tequila, Terramana was one of the things that sold me onto it because Terramana is delicious. But my go-to lately has been Casamigos.
You fucking pretentious bastard.
Go
get Milagro. Go get Milagro.
No.
You'll thank me later. Are you still a beer guy?
Not as much. Again, trying to cut the carbs.
Are you drinking those damn seltzers?
No. Not often. Sometimes. But they're not my go-to.
You walk into a bar right now, what do you order?
Shot of tequila. And an IPA. Honestly, yes. I was at a bar for trivia tonight, and I had an IPA. There.
What'd you get?
Pernicious.
Ah, man. Hope it tastes as good as I remember. I haven't had alcohol in almost 2.5 years now.
Honestly, again, just the taste of IPAs, I love it, but it's just so heavy. It's so heavy on the stomach now.
I will say, when I was bartending these last couple of months, I still enjoy the smell. We are way off of track. Final bit of leftovers before we get into our Week 5 picks. There have been some reports circulating saying that ex-WWE guys in AEW are saying that they felt like going to AEW was, quote, a step down.
I hold that with the same weight as the people that were saying that AEW is like the minor leagues and whatever. There's nothing about it.
I'm going to keep it real with you. I just saw the fucking thing and threw it in the notes. I didn't really follow up with it. If you guys want more information on it, Wrestle Talk put out a video. Cultaholic put out a video. They're going to go way more in depth with it than we are. I just thought it was noteworthy, and I apologize for not getting the full scoop. I have never claimed to be a professional reporter. So, yeah.
Yeah. So, like you said, from there, we're gonna get into our picks. You just watched me do the math on last week's picks.
Ooh.
You are currently up. You had a great week last week. The only 3 you missed were the 3 that we both missed.
Yep.
And you just ran away with it. And again, like some of the ones that I was like the ones that I chose separately on were the ones that I was like iffy on that could have gone either way.
Yeah.
So I'll take those L's. It's okay. But right now you are blowing me out the water, 41-36. So keeping that in mind as we go into week 5 picks. Now we start off the Bears 0-4 against the Commanders 2-2. I've also started putting the records next to the teams, so that will help us like make our judgments. I think it's safe to say that the Commanders will win this one. Actually, no. I want to see the Bears win this one.
Said at the beginning of the year I would never pick the Commanders. And I'm sticking to it. Give me the fucking Bears. I can't do it.
Hey, at the same time, even though they lost that game, the Bears did look good this week.
If the Bears put up 28 points to the Commanders are going to have a hard time keeping up, even though I know they just put up 30 or whatever. But
they put up 28.
Yeah.
Again,
right.
Yeah, same point. The Jaguars at the Bills. We mentioned this again. It's in London. Jaguars have been chilling out there. I still like the Bills to win this one.
I don't think it's enough to overcome the Bills. I agree.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I love the idea of the Jags winning it in London, but I think right now the Bills are so unstoppable that they, especially like after they lost that first game to the Jets, they feel like they've got something to prove this year.
Yep.
Texans at Falcons.
Texans.
Give me the Texans.
They're hot.
Yep, they got a hot hand. They're rolling with it. Panthers at Lions. I hate.
Sorry.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry to pick against my team, but until we get rid of trash ass fucking Miles Sanders and we get some better offensive line play, I'm not putting on any faith in my team. I'm sorry.
When you just said trash, it reminded me of Trash Can Dan. And tonight the commentators had the most disrespectful stat line ever. So the Seahawks won 24-3, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the fucking commentators go, "This is the least amount of points the Giants have allowed all season." And it was so disrespectful. It was so disrespectful.
Oh, I need to change this to 1-3 now that they've lost.
Yes.
All right. The Titans at Colts, both teams 2-2.
Big Tony starting?
I don't know.
He's back from injury.
I think so. I mean, he was only out. He was only out first. It was minor. I think it was a concussion, wasn't it? I think he's in concussion protocol.
I'm taking the Colts.
Yeah. Either way, I'm taking the Colts.
Even with Minshew, I'd still probably take the Colts.
I don't even know what the hell the Titans are this year.
Me either.
No one knows.
Yeah, I don't think they know.
Giants at Dolphins. Give me Dolphins.
Oh, Dolphins might put up 80.
Very possible, especially after losing the Bills. They're gonna be like pissed.
Yeah.
Saints at Patriots.
Give me New England. Belichick to get his 300th win.
Give me New Orleans. We gotta have something separate here.
I'm not super confident in that one.
Neither am I. That's one of those ones again that could go either way.
Yeah.
Ravens at Steelers.
Ravens.
I do like the Ravens as well, but I think that could be a trap game.
It's a divisional game, so
I think it could be a trap game.
But I'm not sold on the Steelers here.
Yeah. Eagles at Rams.
You're skipping.
Excuse me. Bengals at Cardinals. Both teams 1-3. We've got the Bengals. We're hitting the panic button, and then the Cardinals, who are surprisingly feisty.
Give me the Bengals. There's no way, right? There's just no way.
I'll give you the Bengals, but I'm still thinking.
Yeah, I just.
This is so like I don't know.
The Cardinals aren't the Cardinals are supposed to be tanking, but they're not laying down.
No, they're actually putting up a hell of a fight. They're looking good. I'm gonna take the Cardinals. I think the Bengals are really in like panic mode right now. You're right. Eagles at Rams. I'm gonna take the Rams. I think now is when we see Eagles bleed.
It sucks, man. If Cooper Kupp was playing, I would 100% take the Rams.
Doesn't he come back this week?
He's eligible to come back. I don't know if he's going to come back.
He will resume practicing this week. That was said on Friday.
McVay did mention Wednesday he hoped to get cut back on the field when first eligible Week 5 against the Eagles.
I don't know.
Give me the Rams.
You gonna take the Rams?
Yeah.
All right.
Again, not super confident, but if we both have the same answer there, then it's all right.
Mm-hmm. The Jets at the Broncos.
Give me the Jets.
Give me the Broncos.
Really?
Yeah, I think that this being a team that they can beat, like they actually have a chance to beat. I think this is gonna be one of those games. It's gonna be like a relative like get right for the team
after beating the Bears.
Yeah.
By the momentum.
Chiefs at Vikings. Give me Taylor Swift.
Come on.
It's not even a question. All right, Sunday night. Oh boy. Your Dallas Cowboys at San Francisco against the 49ers. Mm-hmm. The team that we've ranked as the number 1 defense versus the number 1 overall team. Mm-hmm. I'm going to let you pick first.
You already know the answer. I'm not betting against my boys. We're going to go into the Bay, and we're going to lay the fucking smackdown on them.
I believe that the Niners are going to hang in there.
I'm not super confident, but this is going to be a true testament to see what again, if we lose by like 2 or 3, man, if it's a game we could have won, if we go in there and lay an egg like we did against the Cardinals, next week's episode is going to be fucking terrible.
I can't wait to hear that rant.
So.
All right, and then our Monday night game, the Green Bay Packers at the Las Vegas Raiders.
The Raiders.
You have the Raiders?
Yeah.
I'm going to take the Packers. I think
it can go either way.
I'm having a slight amount of faith that the Packers finally get their shit together and start using their run game right, because I feel like you can run on Vegas.
Josh Allen carved them the fuck up though, so their
really
pass defense isn't great either. But that game could go either way. This week we have bye weeks for the Cleveland Browns, Los Angeles Chargers, Seattle Seahawks, and Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So no games for them. Yeah.
That does it.
That's it. Oh no. We're not doing Fastlane Picks because not all the matches have been announced.
Yeah, there's only 5 matches announced for the card. I know there's bound to be at least 1 or 2 more added.
Man, I don't know, man, because Triple H, these B pay-per-views, man,
he still puts on 6 to 7 matches. It's still 6 to 7 match cards. I don't think they stick with just a 5-match card, and I don't feel comfortable just doing the 5 matches.
Hang on. Let's just see what's listed so far.
Especially like last week we were going to do Wrestle Dream predictions, and then we still had like 4 or 5 matches missing.
Yeah, I agree. I'm just trying to see what is announced because we will be giving our...
I mean, do you want to just do them right off the cuff real quick? Like without typing them in?
Sure.
Go ahead and pull up the matches.
All right.
This episode's long enough anyways. Who gives a fuck?
I'm shocked it's taken this long.
It's because we didn't feel stressed out by doing game-by-game relapses, and we've been covering 2 weeks worth of notes. So
that's it.
Yeah. It still felt a whole lot smoother.
It did, and it was nice to, like you said, be relaxed and not feel like I have to report on the fucking.
I'm not spending my entire Monday watching freaking highlights from every game.
Yeah, and every time we fucking change the format, we always got to work out the kinks anyway. All right, here we go. Seth Rollins versus Shinsuke in a last man standing match for the World Heavyweight.
Rollins.
I think it goes to Shinsuke this time, but John Cena and LA Knight versus the Bloodline, Jimmy and Solo.
Give me Cena and LA Knight.
100%. Io versus Asuka versus Charlotte for the Women's Championship.
Io's keeping the title. Damage Control is going to get involved.
Charlotte's got to beef up her reigns.
It's a triple threat. That means no disqualification is available. That means no disqualification. Damage Control is getting involved in this match. Io is retaining that title.
One thing we can both agree on, Asuka's eating the pin.
I hate that.
I know.
But you're right.
What? Damian Priest and Finn Balor versus Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso?
That was announced tonight. That was part of the show tonight. I think Judgment Day hang on to those titles.
Yeah, dude, right? Like, there's no way they lose it that quick.
And not to the Franken team of Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso.
What? Cody is fucking fell off, man. I don't think he
No,
is gonna
it's because
defend.
they're stalling on this whole him announcing that he's the guy that's getting traded to SmackDown. I know that's what it is. They're just stalling. They're stalling for time.
Weird.
And then our fifth
Um,
match.
LWO, Rey Mysterio, Santos, and either Joaquin Wilde or Cruz del Toro versus Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits.
Give me Bobby and the Street Profits.
I agree. They need the win.
Yep. Whether it's Joaquin Wilde or Cruz del Toro that's in the match, they're the one that's eating the pin.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, that does
And
it.
I hope we get a full. I hope we get a full heel turn from the Profits now, because isn't it still kind of up in the air?
No. It's very much a thing now.
Okay.
They've completed the turn at this point.
Okay.
I don't know if you saw SmackDown, but the U.S. title match between Santos Escobar and Rey Mysterio, they came out afterwards and beat the shit out of both of them, and that was
Okay.
supposed to be like their way of getting back in Bobby's good graces.
Oh, I just realized I'm gonna get paid to watch a fucking premium live event and the Cowboys Niners primetime this weekend.
Must feel good, don't it?
Does feel good,
All right.
especially because I have something to tell you off air.
Very well. All right. Well, that will do it for us this week. We have gone for almost 2.5 hours. This is going to be a bitch to edit. As always, make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, leave a comment down below. Leave your expectations at the door. You already know better than us. But that's gonna do it for us. We'll be back next week with our coverage over Fastlane, all of our Week 5 updates, and hopefully not much else because God knows we need a short episode for once.
Yeah.
All right.
See
For
you next
Bobby,
week, gang.
what's that?
See you next week, gang.
Yep. For Bobby, I'm DB. We'll see you guys next week.